Hey, what's up, pups? Welcome to the Power Up Podcast, episode uh 8.
Eight.
Do people start not giving a shit anymore, Ryan, about like episodes?
Yeah, when it comes to podcasts, I don't think people really care about like
I
episode numbers. They just care that there's a podcast
Oh,
continuing.
okay, cuz like some of my videos are like short stuff cuz I'm trying to start creating again and kind of like turning content quickly sort of thing. And I was thinking, I was like, do like podcasts like announce like this is episode whatever sort of thing, and sort of because I just get lost into it.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of them start off doing, just like, oh yeah, we'll number them the entire way through and we'll list it. And it's like, but then it's just like, wow, we're in the hundreds or thousands, and it's like,
Yeah.
maybe we just stop.
For sure. Well, welcome everyone to the Power Up Podcast, a podcast dedicated to talking about all things that entertain us. It stemmed from rage that my best friend Eric got the cancel button pushed on him, and of course, like the whole Vic situation and just the bullshit infestation of SJW nonsense infiltrating, entertainment and stuff like that. And funny enough, Nick said it at one point, like the idea of being entertained for the sake of entertainment's sake, like, is dying, and that's something that a lot of people are already contributing to it to fight against it. But I also wanted to create something that where people can just come together, hang out, and we can just bullshit about stuff we enjoyed from the past, currently, and what can we do to prevent stuff in the future.
Yeah.
But I am excited to announce that our guest for tonight is Ryan the editor. Ryan, how's it going?
Oh, it's going swell. It's been a good day so far.
Nice. I'm
Can't
liking
complain
the
much.
blue shirt.
Thank you. Gotta try and look nice for the people.
Oh,
Mostly my mom.
I get you. Well, better than me. I just always my clothing pattern. Like, I kind of try to make a tribute to Andrew WK because he wears all white, and I was trying to rock like the gray look sort of thing. But then I was like, gray and blue, that's fine,
Yeah.
close enough, that sort of thing. Nico, wait. Late nose confirmed traits of a big nose. My nose, okay. If that's towards me, let me say this. Okay, if I turn to the side like that, I mean, we just got a nose like, that, like that. Okay, not that big. A certain lawyer, when he turns to the side, it's like that.
His nose is so big, I have to duck in Texas whenever he looks south. So we just have to we have to be careful. It's a weapon. What there's a reason the Great Plains are the Great Plains, and it's because of Nick's nose.
Oh man, I like how we're not even 3.5 minutes in, and we're already bashing on Nick.
Why not?
Oh, very good. Very good. You and Nick have rat noses. Chaos Smash, you are getting very close to being thrown in that band room. Very, very close. But I am a justice man, and I will let all things fly. Well, not all things, like like pedos and stuff like that. They can go to hell. But yes, believe it or not, Ryan and I actually met a time when Nick, I forget what he had to do, but he was actually down in Dallas at a bar, and he actually reached out to people to, hey, I'm located here, come and hang, sort of thing. And Ryan, you were there, and this was around the time when my friend Eric was, I believe, just on Nick's show. And so we're like, dude, Nick's here, so let's go and meet him. And then we met Nick. Brinty Venti was there. Eric July was there. I talked a little bit with Brittany, didn't talk a whole lot with Eric, but we chatted with you, Ryan. And then at Anime Matsuri, you kindly invited me to hang out throughout that day. I can only make it Saturday, but that was a really fun time, and it was awesome seeing you again. And
Oh yeah.
I just thought it would be a perfect opportunity to get to know you even more and just hang out, chill.
Absolutely.
So,
Like Matsuri was a ton of fun, and it definitely was very very cool. Just like as weird as it's
mhm.
gonna be, like just to have someone reach out and it's like, hey, I'm gonna come down just to hang out with you for a little bit. It's like, oh, whoa, okay, cool. And
Oh,
so
well, of course, and I guess we'll go ahead and just talk about how your experience with Anime Matsuri is. And we were talking behind the scenes. It's not your first con, but it's like you said, it was one of your biggest cons that you went to. I've been to a couple of cons myself, and yeah, probably nothing as big as Anime Matsuri, even though could only make it to one day. But it was definitely it's you gotta love that energy of just a bunch of people coming together and just enjoying like anime or comics or what have you. And I've been to the other ones where douchebags attend and stuff like that, and there's definitely a different type of atmosphere. I
yeah,
personally felt. Did you feel the same way?
yeah, it felt more like free and liberated,
Mm-hmm.
especially like after the past couple of years of lockdowns and everyone still being like, you gotta wear your mask. This one, you didn't have to worry about it. It wasn't a worry on your mind, so you got to hang out like you would any other time. Yeah, you might get sick afterwards, but that when you're hanging around literal thousands of people in the same building, you're bound to catch something. And so it definitely was very liberating just to kind of not have to worry at
Mm-hmm.
all about it. And to see other conventions where they're kind of like, oh yeah, we still require masks. Like I think there was a convention I saw the other day that's requiring them up to like 2 year olds. And it's like two?
That's actually quite disgusting. And Nico, be quiet. This stream will turn into whatever type of stream it is, but not like a Hunter Biden sort of thing. You know, gotta catch the weeaboo, says John John.
Got to catch the weeaboo flu, the
I
wea
feel like
flu. I don't know.
the wee flu. Well, I think nothing can beat Corona Chan. I love that term Corona Chan, and
Yeah,
I will miss her deeply. Her icy grip is no more, and you
she
know
shall no
it
longer
in a
take our
sense it
smell,
touched every single one of us. You know,
whether we know it or not.
whether you know it or not, exactly. Unless you get,
Watch
big
out,
pharma.
Corona. I'm coming for you in 5 years.
Unless you go to like, people that you trust and stuff like that. Which, by the way, YouTube, we're not medical professionals. We're
We're
just giving
just
opinions, so no one listen to our medical advice because what do we know,
yeah, we're
sort of
not
thing.
giving any medical advice. We're just saying that the entire situation was stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Chaos Smash said, "Oh, Corona Chan never got me. Never got me. I don't. I think I got it like right when that December before the lockdown happened. I think I got hits with it because my roommate actually had to drive me to like an urgent care because like something got me good, and they really couldn't identify it per se. They just chalked it up with like, oh yeah, it looks like walking pneumonia. So inject my thigh with some steroids and then use the machine that clears out your lungs and
Yeah,
did
like
all that stuff, and I was
I,
fine. And then ever since then it was like whatever.
yeah, it's like when I heard that it's like at worst it could develop into like just kind of like a pseudo pneumonia. I was like, oh, I've dealt with that my entire life. So
Well, I mean, that's going down a rabbit hole. They always
yeah, well,
it was this, and then it was like, well, make sure to understand it could just be allergy springs and all that stuff. And ugh, so stupid. So you were at the full shebang, right, of Anime Matsuri?
yeah, I was pretty much there with Nick every single hour that we were available. I actually got in that Wednesday, so I showed up about 24 hours earlier than I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I didn't realize I thought Matsuri was going to be an actual like full con day. I didn't realize that they were doing like a day zero, that they were only going to have like one or two places really open with just a few shows here and there. Like if I knew that,
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have just showed up on Thursday myself. But yeah, I was pretty much. Nick mentioned it on the show the other night. I was there just trying to help him out the entire time I could.
You got a
Um,
nice toast, by the way, too.
yeah, I really appreciated that from him. Wasn't expecting it, so he's a
Dude,
good boss.
I mean, just even hanging out with you on Saturday, like you were a baller, dude. So, and I know for a fact, like cons tire people out too, and I know you looked tired, but yet you pulled through, and you know, it's again, it's that energy that cons bring that just can make you keep going and stuff. Obviously, don't like overdo yourself and take the rest you need at times too, but you
Yeah.
know, that's something that I think with cons that a lot of that is kind of dissipating away, especially with all the political garbage that's happening with like the VAs and the guests and all that stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
when oh
Oh,
god.
sorry. I was just gonna say, yeah. The one reason I like, I don't want to pat myself on the back or anything. I was just doing what I was there to do, and I did it. Even though like there were times I complained about like my feet hurting and all that, I did it because the fans had come out to see people like Nick, Nerdrotic, Eric, and so if they're gonna make their presence known and be shown that they're here to support them, I'm gonna at least give them thanks because without them, Nick wouldn't have a show. And without Nick's show, I wouldn't be working for him. And so it's like if I wasn't working for him, I wouldn't have been there in the first place. So the least I can do is help out Nick
Mhm.
with these guests that are coming to say, "Hi, I'm so and so. I've been watching for X amount of years." And even if it's just me standing there taking a photo of every fan that wants to shake his hand, I'll do it.
Well, that's one of the things that all the clowns were like trying to rip off and rip on, like the personalities like Nick and stuff like that. And with Vic as well. You know, those people can be relatable, and you hear from all the big personalities on YouTube and stuff like that. Like this is the one thing that kind of when I started doing YouTube sort of stuff, one of my things was like, well, I just want to be me. I want to start off like as being as much as me as possible. And you hear all these big YouTube stuff, or excuse me, all these YouTube personas having a sort of personality or character, and then later on down the road they'll do an interview where it's like, you know, where they're like, guys, like I just come to the decision that I just been feeling really stifled and I haven't been like able just to be me and be who I am. And I'm like, and for me, I'm just like, well, why don't, if you feel that you're that interesting and can be interesting towards people, why not just start off with that in the first place, sort of thing.
Yeah,
And that's something that with Nick and every one of these people is they're really relatable. They have their pros and cons of everything, and like these clowns don't understand that, and they're bashing like, oh, it's just a bunch of like YouTubers, and my favorite alt-right term being thrown out there, which I'm just like, oh my gosh, go dance on some train tracks in Minecraft, because you guys, and then it pisses these people off that much that a certain Twitch streamer has to declare that, well, I'm going to be starting my own con in retaliation to Anime Matsuri.
good luck. you yeah, in regards to that, it's like you sit on a bed for 12 hours a day taking money from hapless fools who have no clue what they're doing. Like, not to bash them, I haven't been in a good decent relationship pretty much ever, but I'm not sitting here oogling over someone just because I'm so desperate for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, if you're going to try and compete, make sure you have the audience that will show up, because all you're trying to do from the looks of it is you're just trying to capitalize on the the growth of the anime industry and how popular it's become. But
Mm-hmm.
who she is, I don't see it happening at all. If
Mm-hmm.
anything, she's just trying to create clout. She more than likely helped Matsuri because a lot of people probably didn't even know about it. It's like, oh, what's this? And then they went.
Well, that's the
So,
thing, is that they think that by complaining about it, they're bringing awareness to resist it, when in actuality, like, people are really getting tired of all this stupid bullshit that's being projected. Like, I think these people highly underestimate on how tired people are of all this garbage that they're pulling,
oh,
because it's been hijacked to the point where, and it was hyped up to be as big of a deal when it really wasn't. And of course, that's not to say that certain stuff is like, yeah, we there's stuff that does need to be fixed and stuff like that. But when it comes to people who project that onto others and claim they're fighting the good fight, and then you learn about their skeletons, like those are the worst type of people,
Yeah,
sort of
and
thing.
kind of looping back to what you were saying about how some of these YouTubers are just kind of like, I need to take a break just because I don't feel like I'm myself. And it's like, if you've had to put on a mask this entire time, I'd say you're doing it wrong. Yeah, it took Nick a few years to get to where he is, but the thing is
Mhm.
he's been genuine the entire way through. Like
So it's
I've met him in person and I've talked with him many, many times, and he is always the exact same way he is on the show.
mhm.
Like, sometimes he might be a little spicier, and that's just because he can't be that spicy because YouTube is dumb. And
Well, that's my favorite. Like I just hanging around Nick the times I could. I love the spiciness of it because for me it reminds me back of high school when during that time, whether it was a good time in your life or a bad time in your life, there was that world was confined only to that certain amount. Like, what kind of what I'm saying, where like the world didn't seem as big when you were like, especially like in preschool and stuff like that. Your world was like the school because that's where you went most of the time, and then at home sort of thing. And then, as you grow older and face reality, your world expands a little bit more. But like that's what I love about all the YouTubers and stuff like that of this community that's being grown, is that spiciness that you, at least for me, when you hang out with your really good friends and you just bullshit each other because not to, that the insults that you hurl at one another don't need to be taken seriously. That people have certain different opinions, but in the end, you're friends and you can come and hang out and that sort of stuff too. That's what I love about like this community, and like what you're saying, Ryan, with being transparent. Yeah, that's very true. I'm the same with you. What you said not too long ago with struggling, with that, with either finding a relationship or just relationship stuff in general. Like these people are fools because anyone with a brain will know that any sort of advertisement, money, sex, and power is always a theme in it in some way, shape, or form. That's going to be the theme a lot. And these people act like, oh, it's my body. I can do whatever I want and stuff. But then they get super butthurt when people are oogling over them and stuff like that. And it's like, well, first of all, some of these people are like doing it maybe because they feel alone. I mean, I struggled with pornography for like a good while and stuff like that, and a lot of that stemmed with like depression and loneliness. And when there's this someone to where when there's someone that you can interact with, and minus paying to interact or not getting that aside, is that it's this false idea of this person isn't going to say anything to me because they'll just accept me for who I am, sort of thing. That's why and these people act like they care about their fan base, but they don't, sort of thing.
yeah, they care more about the money that it brings them, so they'll put on that mask just to make sure that
Hmm.
they don't they'll lose it. And it's just it the sad state of the world too is the fact that that has become such an industry, especially on a place like Twitch, was originally meant for video games. And
Yeah.
it's like, and the only reason they allow it to stay is because of the absurd amount of money that it brings into Twitch. And it's like, if y'all just didn't allow this, yeah, we understand that y'all wouldn't like,
Hmm.
you wouldn't make as much money, but at the same time, you got to kind of hold strong to your values on what this place is supposed to actually be. And that's kind of leading into cons. These cons are meant for the fans of anime, for people who love anime, someone who's looking for a chance that maybe they love an anime dub and their favorite voice actor from it's going to be there. They're there, one, yes, for the money. Everyone's always in it for the money. It's the biggest part of any convention. But you're there to show your respect because you love it, and they're there for you as well. And so that's one thing that Matsuri is trying to do, is that they're not trying to make it as as weird as it's going to sound, they're not trying to make it as vain as just I am a voice actor and I'm here. They're trying to say, no, we're doing this because y'all love anime. And that's what I love seeing from places like Matsuri, from people like Nick and Eric and all this. It's just like we're fighting against this simplification of everything and trying to tone everything down. It's just like, no, let it let it fly.
Well, yeah, and the funny thing is that these are the people that claim that they're inclusive, that they, will accept any type of person, but they don't. Unless you follow their specific ideology, there are certain people that they will say, no, you're not a fan, you're not a true fan, and stuff like that. When really being inclusive means any sort of person, whatever struggles they're having in life, can get away from that by coming together at this con and going to see people that can entertain them and pull them away from whatever struggles they have for a while. And I've met some of these voice actors and actresses, and they have what are called con faces, to where they will put on the fake, hey guys, how's it going sort of thing. But once they walk behind that curtain, oh my gosh, it's so fucking, no, I'm so fucking over this and stuff like that. They hate the field that they're in, but they love the power sort of thing. And then they go around and bash on Anime Matsuri because, because I've heard of the whole, like, fiascos of like the con owner and stuff like that. And, it's just these people, if they're not in control, and, it's this, it's that, and stuff. And of course, they're the people with the most disgusting skeletons in the closet. And then when you shine the light on them, they freak out and rear their head off and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Chaos Smash says their birthday. Well, that says Ryan. Viral Dash Cam Moment says Ryan.
how's it going? Oh, I know who that is.
And then Chaos Smash says their birthday clowns. Oh, they're more than just clowns. And then a Flawed Man of Gone, like prostitutes. I didn't even click that, but it showed up. There's a boomer moment. Ryan, or it's crazy. Oh wait, there's that. I just revealed his name to the world.
Doxed.
I just doxed. Sorry, he doxed himself first.
It's true.
I didn't do anything.
You should know better than that. But
I should.
It is kind of the birthday clown, but it goes back to projection. It's a lot of projection because they have to try and make everyone else feel like they do the same thing as them. Everyone has to be as equally as bad as them to make themselves feel good. And if they do that enough times, then they start to feel, okay, maybe I'm not so bad. Maybe what I did isn't so terrible. And so if the moment you shine that light back on them saying, hey, I don't do that, then they act like they're victims all of a sudden because you dare question the motives behind it in the first place.
Yeah, it's absolutely insanity, these people. But I've said it before, and I'll stick to what I'm saying. And as someone who's based on the Judeo-Christian foundation and the beliefs, these people build their morals on a house of sand, and it constantly needs to keep getting rebuilt every day to justify who they are as a person, because they have no self-worth. Their self-worth comes from Twitter and that 15-second dopamine hit from other people in the echo chamber or people that they look up to and stuff like that. It's insanity, these people, and they can never relate to actual, genuine, true people. That's why these people hate Vic so much, is because he actually cares about what he does and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
it's crazy.
It is. The fact that we're even in this situation in the first place just kind of is a sad state of the world in general.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That it's quite disgusting that, because they've taken, and I have my own theories about it, but like they've taken everything and made it so extreme that it's either this or this. But the funniest thing to me is that these people don't understand. It's like, you do realize that the people you mock and make fun of and all that stuff, you do realize if they took it to the very extreme, you guys would be completely obliterated, sort of thing. In Minecraft, of course,
obviously,
because Minecraft is a good game that I've never played.
It's had a
And
lot of mods. You can do a lot of stuff in Minecraft.
for sure, for sure. What was your favorite? I'm sure you went to a lot of panels during Anime Matsuri. Do you have a specific favorite one that you really enjoyed?
Um, to be honest, they were all very similar because I ended up going to
Mm-hmm.
Nick's for the fan panels, which is always a great panel just to listen to because it kind of ties back into that idea of we're needing these fan bases. We need these outlets to kind of escape the horrors of the real world.
Mm-hmm.
And so and that's the biggest thing is that it is for the fans. But I went to the YouTuber panel where it was Nick, Legal Mindset. I think you were there with me. And then it was
Was that not the
Nerdrotic
one on
Drunk.
Saturdays?
Yeah, it
The
was like
Saturday, yeah.
that one, and then the Nerdrotic one a couple hours later.
Mm-hmm.
And those are pretty much the only ones I went to because, like I said, I was just trying to one be the press that my badge said I was, but two be there in case I needed to help out with anything. And like I wanted to go to one of Vic's panels, but I never had the time because Vic. I wish they didn't
Oh
have
no,
such
you
slow
know
names.
it's gonna happen.
Oh yeah,
They're gonna.
Nick genuinely had a constant line every day for hours on
That's
end.
awesome.
Like there was one point where it was probably about maybe 50 to 60 people deep. It was a competitive line with Vic, and it stayed there for like an hour.
Again, like these people just can't understand that. Like when there's people who have taken on the task to pretty much share a little bit about their life to the world. It's amazing on how these people can't understand how many people actually relate to said person
Yeah.
because they could be going through the exact same way or exact same thing or click with the type of humor or beliefs or just hey, you got me through a tough time. I heard a little bit of some stories from some people being expressed about how thank you for just talking because it was good for me to just get out of like the struggles I'm having, or thank you because you were during a hard time. Like these people like Nick and stuff, like you know it's one, we all call him the grifter and all that stuff, but like there's nothing wrong with wanting to make money in doing that sort of stuff, and but to be genuine and to be open about a lot of your life, like people relate to that. They don't relate to the fake people that just go and read whatever the Twitter headline is and then re-echo that and then have a bunch of people clapping and stuff like that because I met the voice act. I know who the voice actor are who fucked my friend Eric over, and they're completely different offline. Completely different offline, and in fact, they are a lot like the people like Nick and stuff like that who joke around like that. But heaven forbid that gets shown in the spotlight. You're gone and your stuff like that. Which the whole just not enjoying the craft and hating the craft that you're in just makes me laugh because it's like, well, just fucking leave then if you hate it so much. But they're not going to.
Yeah, no, it's amazing that like everyone is an edge lord offline because that's just the normal state of being most of the time. And so it's just like to act like you don't do these things when it's like, well, I only do it with my friends. Well, you still do it, but don't be ashamed that you do it. Just have fun. But the fact that you're having to kowtow to try and make yourself not look so bad so you don't come off as the wrong way because you might have the wrong thought that might lead to you getting
Mhm.
canceled like Eric did. That's such a toxic work environment to sit here and say that I can't be myself all the time. I have to put on a mask when I go to work just so I can work. And that's terrible.
Well, there's definitely a time and a place when it's like, hey, like at work, for example, like the place I used to work, there was a fellow coworker that we were of different belief systems and political systems and political system. I don't know if that was the right word, but whatever. But we were of the different mindset, and they would always want to talk about it, and it's like, I'm at work. okay, I'm not here. It's bad enough I get to see it shoved into my face online. Like, I can't go fucking, jack off to some porno or something like that without having some some ad about how Trump is bad or whatever being thrown into my face. And but they would want to talk about it all the time, and it's like, I'm here to work. Like, believe it or not, I'm here to work. As much as, my work bothered me or annoyed me, because, we all get at that point where it's like, oh my gosh, like, I hate this. Like, why can't it just be like this? There's a time and a place and stuff like that. But these people have to be correct in any sort of spotlight whatsoever. It is insanity.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've had to try and work on myself. It's just because, like I'll admit it, 2016 was like the first time I got to vote and everything, and that brought me very much like waist deep into the political, like, just sphere of talking, and
Oh my gosh.
it's so toxic and it's so terrible, and it really dawned on me, especially around 2020, when one of my friends was just like, "Hey man, I don't want to talk about this. I just got off work." I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. And so what I did is I just started just getting on Twitter for a little bit. I stopped. I deleted Twitter off my phone. I have Facebook, but that's only for very niche needs. But I'll get on Twitter when I'm just about to go to work. I'll just go through my notifications. I don't even look at my live feed anymore. And so I'll go through my notifications, like and share what I want to, and then I'm done until I get back home later that evening.
Nice.
And then I do it just for a little bit more, and then I'm done. That way, I'm just not, when I see my friends, I'm not, the first thing we talk about is like, "Oh, did you hear about this policy?" It's like, no, let's we haven't hung out in like 4 weeks. Let's just hang out. Let's talk. Let's just have fun. Mm-hmm. And so, like, to catch yourself and try and do that, just to, like, because while politics aren't life, they are important to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't just fully get involved and enraptured into it, because as soon as you do that, you definitely start to lose your humanity. And so but that's why these environments are so important, is so we can actually run away from this stuff, so we can sit here and, what's up, Joe? And
Joe, what's up?
And so,
congratulations, you have become a moderator.
Oh, finally.
Who would have thought that my stream would have to involve actually having mods at some point?
Listen, the title, that's all it really is. Because if a good moderator is a moderator that doesn't do anything, if they follow the creator's policies, like that's kind of one thing you and I were talking about, towards like, you were worried I might have to go and moderate for Nick. It's like, no, I just sit and chat and talk to people who tag me, because Nick's
I try to be kind to my guests this time.
Oh, I appreciate it, but it's just like, his rules are it's a free speech zone. Say whatever you want. I don't care. Just no spamming. And when he started implementing like his 5-second slow mode, it killed the one thing we had to moderate. We don't have to worry about. So the only thing we have to worry about is like, if a Chinese porn bot just starts sending links, it's like, all right, yeah, you get deaded real quick. But that's all we do. Like, if we're doing,
you want to know how many times? You want to know how many times I get that when I like multi-stream over on Twitch? It's like, here, and it's the funny because it's the same bot, but they just slightly change the name every time, and I'm just like, dude, gosh, you fuckers, get off, sort of thing.
Yeah, and so, but that's why we need these environments, is because without these environments, then our only outlet is the things that are affecting our life. And while those are important things, they can't be the only thing you're ever thinking about. And so I've been trying my best here recently to just try and take a breather, but every time I try to take a breather, it seems like just one more crazy thing just keeps topping the last crazy thing that happened. It's like, well,
that again, but that's where like, I'm loving these sort of communities and stuff like that, because the communities that are slowly being built up truly shows how diverse they can be, because people of different beliefs and stuff can all be a part of it too. But you can tell, and that's where, I also do agree that's where a little bit of the gatekeeping does need to come into play, because when you have, you have 10 people in the room, 9 people are going, yes, like, we like this is so good and stuff like that, and then that one person comes in And it's like, yeah, but we need to have equality, or we need to have this, and we need to do this because this is it. That's where it's like, oh, that's cute. Yeah, why don't you go stand the fuck right over there in that meat shredder, because like we don't want to hear about it, sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's just there's been this weird back and forth movement I've seen the past few years.
Sorry, I just read I just read a comment by Joe.
Oh boy. But
yes, like I said, I get a bunch of different people with different beliefs hopping into the old stream. But we'll leave it at that, because we don't want to shine the spotlight on someone when they're not here. That'd be very rude.
Yeah,
Very rude.
But yeah, it's been kind of wild because I didn't fully grow up with the internet. It wasn't until maybe about high school that I really first started getting into it.
What year were you born in?
I was born
if
in
you don't
96.
mind sharing.
What's up? I was born in 96.
Really? Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm 1988.
Okay.
Holy moly. Okay.
And so yeah, I look a lot older than I am. That got me
good. I did not expect that. No, Joe, keep going.
And so, but I didn't have a lot of exposure to the internet, and so when I finally got onto it, it was funny because there was kind of this good push of like anti-gatekeeping, like everything should be for everyone. And I kind of got behind that sympathy. It's like, yeah, if you like something, you should be a part of it. But the past like 6 years have definitely kind of shown me that while there is a very toxic form of gatekeeping to where it's like the only thing you care about is if you don't know the most minute detail, you're not a real fan. It's like, no, gatekeeping shouldn't involve status as a real fan. The only time a real fan should ever be uttered is if someone's like, I'm a fan of this, but, and it's like, the moment you say, but, whatever follows that determines whether you are a genuine fan, because if you're a fan of something, you like it for what it is, not for what it but what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if your idea of being a fan is that, oh, well, we need to have the checklist of representation into the show, you're not a fan, because that's not what made the show so far.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Like, and you can tell who the funny thing is you can tell who these people are, like, especially on Twitter, when like that checkbox list is literally in their bio. It's like, okay, like huge sus on you, because, and I honestly don't even remember when like people would even throw the word around, like I'm a fan of stuff like that. It was like, I always knew it as like, oh, I really enjoyed this anime, or I really enjoyed this video game, sort of thing. But they've like categorized it now to where, well, I'm a fan of, and then it's used as a club to where if it's, oh, well, you don't believe in the same politics or whatever I do, so you're not a true fan. And it's like, dude, eat my ass. Like, you don't get to tell me what I can and cannot enjoy.
Oh yeah, it's just like, and that's kind of the saddest thing about it, is that sometimes fandoms lead to the death of like great things, like shows and movies and stuff like that, just because the fandoms can devolve into such toxic fervor to where it's just like, leave me alone. I just like this. I don't want to know every minute detail. I just like it for what it is. Yeah, some extra detail here and there is real cool, but
yeah, Joe said it pretty well right here. I only have a checklist of things I love, not things to change. Exactly.
Absolutely.
100%.
Because I said it kind of, I don't know if I said it to you, but it's just like, when you first create something, you're creating it for you. It's something that it's your masterpiece. It's your it's what you want to show the world. So whatever that initial thing is, that is for you. But I will say, the moment you start getting a following, then it kind of does devolve into something that the fans want, because the fans want more of it. Now, that's not to say that you need to listen to every single thing the fans say.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you also have to take into account that there are now hundreds to thousands of people who are very invested in what you're making. And so you don't want to do wrong, and you don't want to betray them at the same time. But at the same time, you shouldn't, as a creator, be forced to betray your own ideology and your own creation for the mindsets of people who maybe just started watching.
Viral Dashcam says, "Gonna head out for a bit to eat dinner." Ryan, you the man.
Later, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Ryan the editor, his Twitter is in the description below, so if you want to follow him, just see what he has to say in everyday life whenever he wants to, give him a follow. Awesome person. And of course, like and subscribe here on Powercat Greg. I'm also on Twitch. I stream whenever I can, most like games and of course the podcast around 8 p.m. Central Time unless something changes. I'd say turn on notifications, but heaven forbid YouTube actually notifies people when I go live, because I can't. How many people are like, I never see you when you go live? I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do. Like this sort of thing. But
I will warn you, if you follow me, it's just gonna mostly be, like I said earlier, it's my political outlet. So if you're not wanting, don't turn on notifications. You'll hate me. So
well,
just,
then I guess
what you like.
I will take back that promote. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, you can follow me. There are sometimes I post about
Mhm.
the show. I usually try and retweet whenever there's like a show link that's gone out.
Yeah.
I'll retweet that for Nick and all
Mhm.
that.
But going back to what you said too, I think, because this is how I try to look at it. But I do agree with what you said. Like, obviously, you got to listen to what the fans want, but like, don't be like Hollywood to where it's like one person's like, we need to have this, and it's like heaven. Oh my gosh, heaven forbid we let this slide because they'll do something. Because really, they don't. Because these people really don't have the power that they project that they do. But I've always tried to look at it as, these people, when they see their followers, they see not people, but robots that they can rally up and tell them to go do something or to believe in this way and stuff like that. I try to look at followers of whoever follows me and stuff, of people who are interested in what I have to say or what I do, or they like me for some reason, shape, or form, And so it's just like, that's how I try to look at followers and stuff like that. They're not, it's only a number, and a specific number of people apparently like what you do, sort of thing. That doesn't mean you have to bend over backwards to accommodate every single person, because in the end, that's part of being human, and part of being actually diversive is that there are going to be some things of someone that you will not like, but you can look past that and again connect to whatever it was that made you follow them in the first place.
Yeah, it's just like one good example of this is here recently. I grew up loving Star Wars. I probably drove my parents insane watching the original trilogy.
Oh, good, you started off the right way.
Oh yeah, I started off with the VHS tapes. Okay,
Nice, there you go.
but
I'm going to assume the VHS tapes of 4, 5, and 6, right?
oh yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
just got to clarify, folks, because isn't there actually VHS tapes of 1, 2, and 3?
yeah, I think 3. I know definitely 1 and 2 were still in the era of VHS. 3
Yeah,
might have been at the very very back end
yeah,
of it.
I remember that. Yeah, so John
But
says Phantom Menace for the win. Oof. Oof. I haven't even seen Rise of Skywalker,
no,
and I'm not going to ever see it.
the correct answer. But
I was already told how it ends, and it sounds really fucking gay.
Oh, I watched like Mahler's recap of what happens, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm glad I didn't watch this. But
the only time being spoiled benefits you.
But yeah, it's like I grew up with the original trilogy. I loved the prequels and all that, and then the sequels were fun and all this sort of stuff to a certain point. And but here recently I heard like what George had planned for like a sequel trilogy of his own before he sold it to Disney, and it's hard to know how much of this is actual just rumor that someone's made up and how much of it is true, or they're just speculating in the wrong direction. But one thing I heard that was George's idea for a sequel trilogy, I heard it and I'm like, no, that's completely dumb. That would have ruined literally everything if he did that. If it was his original plan. Because it's like not to go down it, but it was talking about how it's like, oh, Anakin wasn't the true one, neither was Luke. It turns out it was Leia, and it's just like that's the exact same thing that we got out of Disney, and it like that ruins the entire point of everything that was built up in these 6 movies.
I call X to doubt on Lucas having that idea. A
Yeah,
huge X to doubt on that one. That
because
doesn't.
Lucas himself was like, this is a story of Anakin and Luke. It's like, cool. And then it's like, oh yeah, I was going to make a sequel trilogy to where it's like, none of it matters. It was really Leia. It's like, that doesn't sound like
No,
George would
that
say
doesn't
that.
sound.
But if it was George, I would have still hated it just as much.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, yeah, there are times where the creator will fuck up. Like one good example is with I've heard is Rising of the Shield Hero. I've heard that season 2 hasn't been that great. So
Oh,
much so that
really?
yeah, like
Fuck.
so much so that the first half of season 2, the author genuinely regrets making.
Well, at least he or she feels bad about it. I can't remember who the
I don't
author is.
know either, but I've heard that they genuinely they're disappointed in it. They didn't like it, and they kind of regret it, but they're willing to make up for that. And so it's like,
But my response to that would be, why would you do it in the first place? What was it that made you do this in the first place? I can understand if there's like bosses standing over you and like, we got to sell big or something like that. But like in the end, it's I don't get it.
yeah, it might have come down to deadlines. They may have started a story that ended up not going where they wanted it to in the end. It's hard
okay.
to know. I don't know, but
I liked Rising of the Shield Hero.
oh yeah, I recently watched season 1. It's great. It's good.
Oh, it's amazing.
I'm looking forward to season 2, despite even though a lot of people
Mhm.
are like, oh, it's not that good. Who knows? It's to each their own in the first place. But there will be times that creators mess up and they don't do exactly what the fans might think, and that's
Mhm.
okay. But it does come down to a fact when it's like a complete betrayal of what the original source material is, kind of like a la Star Wars, a la hell, even like James Bond. James Bond, there's all this talk of like, oh yeah, James Bond's gonna become a woman, and it's like, no, that's not who James Bond is.
Oh, so now they're going with the whole 007's a title and not necessarily.
They
You ever,
kind of did that with the last movie that came out. I forget the name of it, but that yeah, they effectively made 007 a title instead of a person, a persona that it was supposed to be, and it's like that's not supposed to be. Yeah, John's bringing up a good point. Like I used to be a good fan of like Rooster Teeth and all this, and the show
Mhm.
originally it was kind of like one of my first, not my first, but a good dive into my um, internet life that kind of led me to where I am now. But the show started off in a very good way, but then right around when season 3 hits, the creator sadly passes away, and then the torch is passed off to his sub writers that were helping him, and they just take it in a completely different direction. It's like, one, this is betraying things that have already been shown. Two, this doesn't even make sense in the scheme of the world. What is even happening? And it was getting so bad that I literally just stopped watching. Like
Mm.
the thing that broke me is they had this one villain that was turning out to be really good. He had a good he had the mysterious past that you didn't know about. Cool. Always good to have your mysterious character. Very powerful, messed up, one of the main characters, and all this is like cool. And then they just kill him off in such a bullshit way that I physically couldn't stand the show anymore.
Oh.
Because they sacrificed a decent villain who had good morals, and then they turned him into like a jaded ex-boyfriend who just wanted to kind of get back. And it's just like, where did this come from?
Oh my gosh, that sounds awful. It's kind of like, well, I don't know if it's kind of like that, but I watched all of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed that series. Then I started watching Legend of Korra, and I actually liked the Yaman season. And then after that, I heard it was just garbage. So then
Oh,
I just stopped completely. And then of course there was that whole thing with Cora and whatever her name is, were our lovers and stuff like that.
yeah,
Even though
no.
the what was it, the creator had to make a still frame later to confirm that it was there, and it's like bullshit. You never planned this from the beginning
Yeah,
at
no, it
all.
was that's one of my greatest regrets is The Legend of Korra because I had borderline autistic fervor for Avatar: The Last Airbender growing up. I loved it. I was
It was good.
I love the Asian like setting, the idea of just the four elements constantly in battle and trying to seek peace and all this sort of stuff. And then when Legend of Korra came out, I was a bit of a consumer as a kid. I'm just like, yeah, my favorite show's back. They're taking it even further. It's what I've always wanted. And it wasn't until I kind of got to college and I started like watching little video essays talking about how terrible it is. And I'm like, oh God, yeah, this isn't good. Like I had the rose tinted glasses on the entire time I watched this. And I didn't even realize how bad it was. But like, yeah, like season 1 was decent up until maybe like the last 3 episodes, and it betrayed itself because it's like they tried to go for a big twist that ultimately ruined even more of the lore than it already had.
Okay, so I stick with my version of how that show probably could have continued to be interesting. Is I personally thought, and spoilers to anyone who hasn't seen it, I personally thought that Korra should have lost all of her abilities except wind. Because I think that's what Amon did, right? He sealed everything.
Yeah, see, but that's another big thing. That's like a big plot hole. Is just like,
Bloodbending.
yeah, the bloodbending. Bloodbending makes no sense because we were told definitively it can only be done at very specific certain points in time. Like,
oh, really? See, like
you have to have a full moon. It can only be done during a full moon because you're having to manipulate someone else's will, and it's only under a full moon can you actually manipulate. You have enough power under because waterbenders were tied to the
episode.
They were tied to the ocean and the moon, and so it's like you had to use your like boosted power of the moon in order to literally puppeteer another person.
That's right.
And then we get the Legend of Korra, and it's just like, nah, he's just a level 20 special nat out of nowhere who can do it. And it's like,
well, going off of that, because it sounds like you know more than me, but I do remember that one episode. That was with that old lady, right? With like,
yeah.
And the one girl is and dude, I hate everything. I hate my boys.
Hey, it happens. It does.
But yeah, that was that one where she was like trapped in the cage or something like that, and like she was the old lady explained everything. I remember that now that
they
you brought it
were
up.
like, you're tapping into my autismo side now.
Yeah,
It's when they were spying through the Fire Nation, and they had come across, I think her name was Hanma, and she was a prisoner of war on the Fire Nation. Right. She was kept in a dry cage, no water whatsoever, and it wasn't until she started realizing that like, she could actually bend the blood inside of like a rat. And then she started taking it further, and it's like, okay, well, if I can do it to a rat,
I can
try and do it to a person. And so it was and Avatar had such great stories, even though season 3 had a lot of people say it had a lot of filler, but it was more of just showing life in the Fire Nation, and that was the point. It was trying to humanize these people in this time of war. It's like, these are the people of the Badlands. Let's see what their life is like. Mm-hmm. And so, and part of that is like, oh yeah, here's a POW who just absolutely hates what happened to her, and she wants to pass on this vengeance to another person. She wants someone else to take up that rod of just hate and anger and use it. Mm-hmm. And that was the entire point of the episode. Is at the end of the day, Katara had to bloodbend to save her friends. She really didn't want to, but she did. And then we even see it later in the season where she bloodbends another guy out of pure anger because she knows she can. And she regretted doing it then too.
Well, aside from that, I thought it would have been good if Amon permanently sealed her power away. And I think it would have been a unique twist for an airbender who's supposed to be able to utilize all elements to not be able to utilize it and to overcome the step of, okay, I'm actually limited to wind or whatever the element was. I thought that would have been really interesting. Yeah. But then she lost no character growth whatsoever when Aang comes back and just unseals it. I'm just like, mother.
Yeah, and even like the way she lost, like I can get behind the idea that blood bending can take someone's bending away. Like you're using, you're clotting the chi pathways or whatever, and it stops that. And that's kind of going back to the idea of, well, if you to sit here and think, well, maybe there's 4 different pathways, one for each bender. How can you miss one? You would obviously know you missed one, so you just need to find it.
Yeah.
Or 2, like they would all be on the same thing and everything would be equally affected. And so just 1, it didn't make logical sense. But 2, yes, it ruins her character growth because it's like this is the one thing she's been struggling with this entire season, and then she finally gets it, and then it's just like, well, it doesn't matter. Here it is. But it's just like, well, 1, if bloodbending can take away a person's bending,
I was so pissed when that happened. I was like, I'm not watching this. Like, we had all the other seasons ready to go, like Eric and I, and we're like, nope, return it to the friends. Like, we're not watching this. This is bullshit.
But even the deeper implications of it is like, oh, bloodbending can take your bending away, but you can't use bloodbending to put it back.
Oh yeah,
because it's like Katara, who's obviously like bloodbending's illegal and whatnot, but you have someone who knows how to bloodbend, and Katara, who's supposedly the greatest healer on the planet at this time, is like, you would think she would know how to, or at least try. And so, yeah, it logically it makes no sense, and 2, it just ruins everything narratively. And a big thing too is the fact that like bloodbending is just waterbending, so you still had to do the motions and the tai chi and that sort of stuff. But then we get the people like the one bad from Aang's time and his 2 sons, and they're just like, no, force powers, you're stunned. Stop.
Yeah. No.
But one of my biggest gripes though about Legend of Korra is a lot of people say season 3 was mid, season 4 terrible, but season 2 I will never, well, season 2 and season 3, it's one reason I hate season 3, and it was the fact that at the end of season 2 they fucked up the spirit world concept terribly. They made it to where you can actually, there are portals at the North and South Pole that let you enter the spirit world physically instead of just spiritually. It's just like, oh yeah, so let's add portals that if Roku, who supposedly know this, could have just told Aang and saved them a literal cross planet journey.
Oh my gosh, that sounds awful.
But what they did is at the end of season 2, there's a big fight, a big cosmic battle between good and evil, which is dumb in and of itself. But they permanently create and open up this bridge between the spirit and natural world.
It seems like a terrible idea.
It is a terrible idea because what that supposedly does is it's like, oh, the world seeks balance. And since there aren't that many airbenders now, a bunch of people who are already born just suddenly magically get the ability to airbend.
Oh my gosh, that sounds awful.
It's terrible.
Wow.
Because it doesn't make any sense. But 2, I hate it because it completely ruins Aang's legacy.
Yeah.
Because imagine the concept that you are the only person to survive of your culture, and at some point, every person after you that has your ability can be linked back to you. You are the restart of a family tree, and they took that away from him. So instead of letting every airbender for the rest of history be linked back to Aang, now only a small portion of them are.
Oh gosh.
And I'll never forgive them for that.
Nico says, I hope Stuart is surviving through all this weeb talk. You know what? Be quiet. You will accept the weeb.
I wouldn't even say this is weeb just because it's Avatar. There's always that big debate
technically.
On anime.
But you said you liked. We can kind of jump back to your interest in Star Wars. You said you grew up with Star Wars a lot. Because I think like, in all honesty, what people have, like any Star Wars fans, regardless of how like hardcore you are or how new you are, I think a lot of them would love to just have that time where, you know, what was it, Order 66 didn't take, like way before all that, where it's literally like, did you ever play Star Wars like the Old Republic, like the PC game?
I played Knights of the Old Republic, and I
played
those. I played the Old Republic a little bit with my buddy, and we never got deep into it just because it's the MMORPG can be very tiring and very boring after a while.
I was there in the beginning when it was insanely like constantly changing, to where you could get you can have a subscription to unlock everything, and then you could collect hut points to unlock parts of the game, so you could cancel your subscription, get certain points to unlock parts of the games, to which if you technically, people easily figured out, like, you just need this amount and unlock all this and you'll pretty essentially have all the game that you need to have do. And then they went back to the like subscription based sort of thing.
Oh yeah, they saw
Like,
how everyone's moving to a subscription model, and it's like, oh, well, we got to go back to it now.
it I don't understand how like hard it is to just make a Star Wars movie to where it's literally a bunch of Jedi and Sith fighting and then spaceship battles, like the wars and stuff like that. Like, did you ever read the novels and stuff like that?
Um, I dabbled in the like Heir to the Empire, the Timothy Kahn trilogy. I only read the first one though; it was really good. I did read some of the ones that were like meant more for kids growing up, just because I did love Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
and I always took them with a bit of skepticism, just because I was like, this doesn't make sense. How would this flow in the story of Star Wars? But I still read them nonetheless because it was fun. It was back in the age where, like, I still kind of knew not everything was like canon. It was just like, here's a fun little thing that could have happened. It's like, okay, fair enough.
So which one is do you have like a favorite Star Wars?
Uh, like Star Wars movie.
Yeah. No, I guess
Um,
yeah. I will clarify. Star Wars movie. Or your I guess you could say what's your favorite Star Wars movie today, because it can change later.
I've genuinely, while the acting is terrible, like arguably, if you look at it more as like the space opera it is for that time. I love Revenge of the Sith.
I thought it was good.
I love it. It's
I thought it was
great.
okay.
A lot of people like bash the prequels because it's like, oh well, it tones down what the Force is supposed to be. It's like, not really. It's like, oh, the midichlorians. Well, the midichlorians are just a sign of like someone who has the ability to use the Force. They're more of like they're in the presence of someone who could, not causation of it, if I remember correctly. And so it's just like, and it's building upon the one line that Obi-Wan's like, oh yes, I fought with your father in the Clone Wars, and it's like, oh, what are those about?
Hmm.
And but it's the drama and just kind of the action and the CG of just Revenge of the Sith is so good for me. I love it. Like, while you can sit here and bash the acting, yeah, whatever, I genuinely liked it just because we get to see the downfall of like Space Himmler and just see what
Mhm.
caused the big bad from the original to become who he is.
So did you like do you like the actions of like the prequels more so than the actions of the sequels? Because I remember hearing way back in the day, like, did you ever see it's a YouTube video that's been out for a while, so, like somebody like re-enhanced the fighting between Darth Vader and Ben Kenobi
Yes,
in
I
A
did
New
see that.
Hope sort of thing. I remember Lucas back in an interview said that like when it came to the fighting, it was more so of like that samurai dueling. That's why they're very slow with their movements and stuff like that. Um, do you like more of the action packed like fighting that pretty much took place in the prequels, especially with when Darth Maul appears, because he was very acrobatic and doing all those fancy stuff? Or I thought it would have been interesting to kind of see that samurai sort of fighting like in the prequels sort of thing.
Um, I did genuinely like the action of the prequels just because we have to remember that these are like these people do have superhuman speed and strength.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And so it's
Yeah.
like I chalk up to what the action in like A New Hope was, just because it was the trailblazer. It was the thing that started everything off, and it was the original concept.
Hmm.
Obviously, like George changed his mind on a few things, and I don't begrudge him for doing that. It's his, like, going back to earlier, it's his work. Let him do what he wants.
Yeah.
And so, if you don't like it, you don't like it. If you love it, you love it. Cool.
Hmm.
I still say, like, while I absolutely hate the Disney trilogy, if you like it, cool. I'll talk your ear off on why it's trash and try to convert you into hating it, but you can still like it nonetheless.
I've not
But
seen anything of that.
yeah, I watched The Force Awakens, and then I went to watch the
Oh, wait a
last.
minute. I'm thinking of like the shows. I did see The Force Awakens, and then I
Oh
don't even
yeah,
remember the second one. What was the second one called?
the Last Jedi.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one I saw in theaters with my buddy, and it was the first time I walked out of a theater going, "What did I just watch? It makes no sense."
Oh gosh, yeah. I
Because it was just like nothing in that one made sense to me. It's like, yeah, the CGI was cool and the action was okay, but every plot point in the movie just made no sense to me. It's like, oh, we're in a deep space chase and all this sort of stuff, and we're running out of fuel. And it's like, well, if you know about space, that shouldn't really matter. But two, it's like, so how do we save our mothership? Well, you see, we're gonna send two operatives off to space Las Vegas to find this one random dude, and then they're gonna infiltrate the ship. It's like, what?
Oh yeah, and didn't they like free like the animals or some bullshit?
They freed the space horses,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's like
like I don't remember
it's
any of that movie. All I know is that going to that entire segment of the film was a complete waste of time. I
yeah, no,
remember that.
it made no logical sense. But going back to um Revenge of the Sith, yeah, I like the action one because it showed off how willing they were to succumb to the choreography of that fight. They were willing to learn it step for step at that speed to make sure it looked great on screen compared to just the like, I have a baseball bat, I'm going to hit you now. It's just like, no, these dudes were like, they spent days and days worth of choreography just making sure they got every hit, every block, every dodge, every single parry perfectly in sync with what would be two space wizards who can use their magic to make themselves blindingly fast. Like I I'm of the mind that the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight goes a lot faster than it's supposed than what it is on screen. And it's kind of the DBZ effect where it's like we're slowing the fight down because if we didn't, it would happen in
I
mere
get that.
seconds.
Well, that's kind of like how people kind of explain about Palpatine when he kills those guys and fights Mace Windu, because in the novel it describes him as like a black streak, and by the time they kind of realized what was happening, the guy, like aside from Windu and then the other person who I'm bad with the names, like the other two guys were already dead because he was that fast and how he
Yeah.
murked everyone. Now, obviously, since the actor's that old and can't really do anything, they had to sort of stuff. Although I have seen like fan edits of that one of people speeding up his fight without making it look too sped up, and actually that scream kind of does an effect on them too. The Sith scream, it
Yeah.
kind of tumble. Um, if you would you want to be a Sith or a Jedi?
Neither. I
Neither.
I would honestly try and go down the path of like the gray Jedi
The Gray Jedi.
just
I've
because
had an idea of how to do a Gray Jedi because I think that would have been pretty fun too. I'm not a big Star Wars person, and I know there's different like fighting styles and stuff. There was a fighting style that my roommate kind of explained to me that, or showed me that I thought was pretty cool that didn't do it so much. But it's a fighting style that like I think both the Jedi and the Sith kind of hate, more so the Jedi. It's the ones where you're fighting and then you turn off your lightsaber so that they stumble and then you can slash them.
oh no, it's even worse is that you start a swing and
Hmm.
right before the sabers collide, you turn it off and then immediately turn it back on to get the hit. And they're
Yeah,
like,
like there was an actual fighting combat, and I was like, dude, that's the perfect Gray Jedi fighting combo because he doesn't care.
yeah, it's just like
That'd be.
it
I'd rather be a wandering Jedi Ronin, says Chaos. There's actually some kerfuffle. I don't know if that's a word, but in the chat, because some people are saying Return of the Jedi is their favorite. And then, of course, a flawed man of God, Stuart, says The Last Jedi sucked.
oh yeah.
So,
What like Return of the Jedi is great and everything, but it's just I like because I grew up in the early 2000s. That
mhm.
was honestly the first Star Wars movie that I saw in theaters, and it's the one that's had the biggest impact on my life. And I love the CG. It was probably the first time that catalyzed me, and like I would love to make that sort of stuff, and it's led to where I am now.
Well,
And
that's a good transition to go into. Obviously, your Twitter handle is technically editor the Ryan on Twitter, right?
yeah, because Ryan the editor I don't think was available, so I'm like I'll swap it just for
I do
funsies.
enjoy your profile picture though.
I made that because it was
I
just
I,
like
I love it.
I love that screenshot from The Incredibles when he's just kind of hunched over his computer,
I
and
love it.
so
I'm like that does fit. That does fit Ryan really well. But yeah, as one person who enjoys editing to another, like yeah, what got you into editing? You know what? Where do you get your ideas from?
so my start was mostly from college. Like my degree plan had it to where we had some assignments that involved doing some small forms of video editing. So I already had kind of the basics down. And um, when Nick said he was looking for an editor, it's like, well, his content's very simple. Editing won't be too hard. I'll just go ahead and put my hat in that ring. And so it's mostly I already had the knowledge, and I just went ahead and did it. Um, where I get my ideas from are mostly spur of the moment. Sometimes it's dependent on what someone says, and that leads to an idea. Like one good example was from the
That's a Norm Macdonald joke, by the way.
oh, was it? It flew over
The
my
where
head.
you get your ideas from. It's like your most basic question to ask
Oh,
someone.
it's a good question though. But one of
It
my
is. It's hilariously.
one of my greatest memes, I forget the name of the case, but it was with the old man who shot someone in the theater in Florida, and they were constantly making jokes about how the state prosecutor's face looked like it was melting, or it just looked like a some lizard man had stretched human skin over. And so what I
Wait,
did is
what is it? The Chad, the popcorn guy.
yeah.
Okay, one of the guys' name is Chad. I don't remember.
That was the guy who got shot.
Yeah. He
But
is gone.
yeah, but they kept making the joke on how his face just doesn't look natural. And so what I did is I just went and pulled the clip from Men in Black
Oh
where they're
gosh.
like, "Put your hands up." And then he just rips the mask off, and I'm like, that's a good meme. And so it spurred the moment, but
Want me to
that
put my hands on my head like this?
put my hands up like this. and and so but the
Good
memes they
movie.
come it is the memes come more natural, but at the same time it's a balance because there are many things I would love to do for Nick, but at the
Hmm.
same time I know his channel is more serious, it's more legally oriented, so I don't want to dive too deep into the memes because if it takes away from the seriousness of what's happening in the court case,
Yeah.
then I might be ostracizing the audience when I'm not intending to. One, I haven't gotten many complaints. I think there's only been one time Nick said there was something I did he didn't like, and then he ultimately just never ended up releasing it because by the time he had actually told me, it had been like a week.
Mm.
And so, but that's not his. Well, it's kind of his fault, but it's also just like I take risks and I wait to see what I'm told.
Yeah.
And it's like he said the other night, or he said it during I think the end of the Johnny Depp thing, where he that was like the first shout out he gave me. It was to where it's like he thinks I do a damn good job and he hasn't had any complaints. And so it's like, all right, well, if I'm not doing
Yeah. That's
anything wrong
awesome.
thus far, I'll just keep doing what feels natural to me. If I feel like I can sneak in a funny joke or a funny meme that feels completely natural, I'll do it. But otherwise, I'll just leave it be. I'll make it quick, I'll make it simple. And like I would have loved to do more memes during the Johnny Depp thing, but at the same time, editing does take a bit of time to do. And when you're trying to get videos out as fast as possible to try and hit the algorithm to get the views, sometimes you might have to just furlough the memes just to get the information out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like I can relate to that too, like with the editing and stuff like that. And I guess you kind of combined it together. So did you just like reach out to Nick? Because I remember at the time he was saying like, "Hey, I'm actually looking into like seeing to get some help from someone." Was that during that time?
Yeah, so when he had first put out he had put out a call saying he was looking for an editor. And he's like, if you're interested in it, just send me your resume. And if there's something you have that you think could show off what you can do, send that too. And so I'm like, all right, cool. Send him my resume and all this sort of stuff. And then weeks went by and he never really said anything. And like, I think it was like a couple weeks after, he's like, yeah, I'm looking through everyone's resumes. Cool, cool. It's just there like hundreds of people have sent it to me. And
Oh yeah,
plus,
I'm sure.
Nick being Nick, he's not wanting to look at everybody. And so about every other week, I would just tag him and be like, hey, you still looking for an editor? And just in chat, whenever he was like in downtime, I think it was like mostly during the court cases, I would just tag him. I was like, hey, you still looking for an editor? And he'd say, yeah, yeah, yeah. And after about a couple months, I fell for the grift. I went ahead and signed up for locals. I gave him money. And one reason I did that is because when you sign up for a certain tier, you can actually, I don't know if I should say this, but you can DM him on locals after a certain tier on locals. And so I sent him
No, yeah, because if you simply just click send Nick a message or whatever, it tells you what tier you have to upgrade to do that.
yeah, and
Sort
so
of thing. So I think you're fine.
yeah, and so I got upgrade. I went ahead and just bought into that tier that would allow me to send him a message, and I give him the sob story of, oh, I've been watching for a few years now. I have X background. I think even in part of it, I'm like, I want to help you beat Legal Eagle, just because that was the point where he was like covering Legal
There you
Eagle a
go.
lot,
That's how you do it.
and so I just sent him this message, and then about a day or two later, he's like, all right, yeah, let's set something up, and then. He's like,
Rest
yeah,
is
let's have an
history.
interview this day. And it's like, cool. And then it ended up being like a week later. And
See, I figured Nick out. I know his game. He purposely fakes not responding to emails and DMs with the goal of the only way I can get his attention is to send him money,
yeah, pretty
and
much.
that's how he does.
Uh,
I know his charade,
the
and
grift works hard.
I have foolishly I have foolishly helped that grifting continue. So I am guilty as such. No, that's awesome because I do remember him saying that too. I never sent him anything, just some nude photos that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, he didn't respond to those. I did not do that, by the way, but
And so, but
GS Vlog says, Greg, sir, how are you? I am good. What's up? That's it.
and so, but
That's my
yeah,
thing.
so I just kind of I knew he was big into locals, so I'm like, okay, this is probably the best chance. I know he hates Twitter, so I'll reach out to him on locals. We got it set up, and he liked how I gave an interview on the phone, and
Nice.
he said we'll give it a shot. And then that was almost a year ago.
Give it a Shadowski. Dude, that's awesome.
But
Very cool. Very cool.
and so yeah, the rest has been history so far.
Nice. Well, I'm doing awesome work, that's for sure. Greg,
Yeah,
sir, you have a girlfriend? Not yet. We're working on it.
why
Nico
you
says
asking? You offering?
for Griftman, time/attention equals money. Pretty much. But in a way that's that is part of, to me, that's really what a YouTube, that's a YouTube. When you're a YouTube content creator and your content is literally live streaming and stuff like that, that is actually kind of how you keep yourself afloat and stuff, is the generosity of people. But like what Nick said, not just Nick, like anybody at that panel said, what's so unique about what we're doing right now, what Nick does with them stuff, is that you can have a bunch of people interact with you live and stuff when you wouldn't be able to when it comes to like pre-recording stuff, because what the heck is going on? Someone's trying to get your attention. GS Vlog says, Ryan, sir. Sir.
Howdy, how's it going? What's up?
I don't know, but yeah, that's what's so unique about live streaming and content and stuff like that, is you can be a part of, literally you can be a part of the show. No,
Sorry.
Any sort of contact information is listed in the description, and those are social online stuff.
Yeah, you can like DM me on Twitter. That's about as much as you're gonna get from me.
Yeah. So, plus we're not big enough yet.
No.
I don't know if that meant anything, but
But
yeah, sus. Yeah, very sus.
very.
But I. So, do you find editing like very soothing? Because I know for me, when I really sit down and like get lost into like I get lost into my editing. I like editing because I just sit there and once you're editing and kind of get into that rhythm and that flow and stuff. Like for me, it's like I could just go on forever, sort of thing. Do you kind of get the same way too, or are you like, do you have a different sort of editing that you enjoy doing?
It's really dependent on the topic. Like there are some topics that really I can get into the flow of. Um, the one big hurdle I have is that obviously I'm still a fan at heart, so I do like to watch the show live. And then it's like, oh hey,
Yeah.
this is a topic that I could probably cut out, and then having to sit there and rewatch this stream, it can get a little just boring at times. But it's like I already kind of know the thing. But yeah, it can get soothing, and I try not to waste a lot of time on review, probably to my own detriment, just so I don't sit there and I rewatch it because sometimes these videos can be 20 minutes long, and so like
Yeah,
I don't
that's
want to
my
sit here and like bill him for 40 hours. And it's like, well, what'd you do? And it's like, well, I ended up watching this 20-minute video 5 times to make sure it was just right.
that's where I
And
get really bogged down because I want to make it just right, sort of thing, and it's really hard to just be like, you gotta let it go. You gotta send it on its way, sort of thing too. That's why I'm still trying to like experiment to where it's a formula to where I can shoot what I want to say. Hopefully, not try to write like any scripts and stuff, because that's one thing I'd like to work on. Is I do like people of the kind that can just kind of are really good at getting their thoughts collected right then and there and able to um he's a lawyer, bill him.
I mean, I probably should,
Well,
but
I'm not here to give you
but
advice.
he's not so much of a lawyer. Like he is a lawyer, but he just doesn't do a lot of lawyering anymore. He's just and that's one thing to kind of commend him on is that he took the time and effort to learn the law and stuff like that. But he ended up doing some of the practice and he doesn't like it anymore. So he's found a better way to
Hmm.
continue to use that knowledge without wasting it.
Exactly, and that's why Nick's Kyle Rittenhouse show took off so well. It's because you got that group of people with different, with tons of different experiences and beliefs, or profession of the law, I guess. Like, some people can be specifically criminal law and that stuff. I can't think of the word at the moment, but you just got all these people coming together, but yet they're explaining it to you in layman's term, and they're making it entertaining and interesting to watch. Because obviously, if we just sat down and watch trials, I get a lot of people, I'm sure, would just be like, okay, I'm done watching this, sort of thing. Well, I'm sure there's some people that enjoy that sort of stuff, and that's fine with them. But like, it's really it's really unique to have found that niche
Yeah, it's
to
like
come together.
there's a big difference between watching something like C-SPAN, where it's just the raw footage of what's happening,
Oh yeah,
and watching like 6 people roast the ever-loving crap out of this dude for being so freaking weird or like dumb on the stand. And it's just like that dude was on meth or something when he took the stand. That
what a
dude was
weirdo.
wild. But
Dude,
yeah,
that was great. I love the snippets of him doing that, and then it immediately cuts to like the other camera angles, and Johnny's like trying to hide his face to
it,
stop laughing.
it was great whenever
Uh
he would genuinely laugh hard enough that the judge would have to just kind of look at him and almost like call him out on like be quiet. Stop
yeah, it
that.
was like, dude, what the hell is wrong with you? Sort of thing. Oh
But
my goodness gracious. That's
but
so funny.
but yeah, when it comes to I'm still trying to perfect my craft. I'm trying to because it's not my channel,
Hmm.
obviously. It's not my work that I'm having to try and refine down. And so there does come times where I'm having to sit here and go, okay, how much am I trying to put myself into this video, and how much am I trying to make it better for Nick? And sometimes it's a very fine line that there were times I wanted to just put wholesale memes in. It's just like, but it ruins everything that's happening up to, like, it'll ruin the entire video because it's so jarring. And so,
understandable for sure.
like, I've had to play that line to where it's like every court case he's covered so far, I've had a little bit of a different editing style because, like, the Theodore Edgecombe case was like the guy who got in the fight and shot that other lawyer or whatever. It was like the black guy.
Oh yeah, shot that one guy in the face.
Yeah, shot him in the face. It's like that one, while the circumstances were kind of grim, it was a genuinely funny court case just because everybody in that case was a cartoon character. So I get to have a little bit more fun with that. And the same thing with the Florida popcorn shooting. There were points in that where it's just genuinely funny to listen to these arguments. But then you get to something like the Johnny Depp where, yeah, everything's kind of funny, but they're already at max funny. I don't need to try and make them even funnier.
Can you repeat that? What that? GS Vlog going in hard with the
going
one,
for the throat.
Going for the throat with those personal questions. About 500. No, Edgecombe.
Wow.
Can you repeat that? No, Edgecombe. Oh yeah, Edgecombe, I think, was the guy who was riding the bike and then.
Oh, can you repeat that question? Yeah, the meme from that case.
Oh, derp! Here I am about to explain to the folks what the court was. No, yeah, that guy was hilarious. Can you repeat that question?
Can you repeat that?
Are you legally retarded, sir?
I do not understand. It's just like
that
was a fun video I made.
That
was
was
actually a special request from Nick. He's like, yeah, no, just take every single time he says, "Can you repeat that?" and just put it into a video. And I did.
How long did that take you to scroll through all that?
It took many hours.
Oh gosh.
But it's just like, yeah, you just do that, and then you throw. I think I used like the King of the Mountain behind it, or something like that. GS Vlog, like, none of your damn business. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. What does it matter?
What matter? Never mind. I'm just kidding. No, yeah.
GS Vlog, have you ever gone to SOCON? Just asking.
We'll wait. Okay.
But it comes.
That was a great edit, by the way.
But yeah, so it's just like some of them do take time, but some of them are just like, that was one of the ones where I had to sit there and genuinely just watch the entire thing over. But that's the good thing about editing too, is every time he says it, you can just put a marker, you know exactly where it is, and then you just go and make all the cuts. But then it's just like, okay, this is a really funny video. How can I just make it just an easy little bit spicier? And so it's just like put the generic funny music behind it, and it makes the scene. It makes it great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You kind of hinted a little bit. Well, not hinted a little bit, but when you were talking about, like, you know, that fine line of something that's for Nick's channel, and then, you know, something that starts to become a little bit more of your take on the situation. Do you have any like work that you've personally done or something like that? That you've like uploaded online or something like that?
Honestly, personally, no.
Okay.
I've because of just a little bit of limelight I've gotten, I've been half tempted to, kind of a la like Lofty Pixels, but at the same time, I already have my other job, and I don't want to try and add like a third or fourth job on top of that.
So I don't know if Joe's still in here, but I did finally sit down a little bit and watched one of Flashcast with Lofty in there, and they were talking the Lord of the Rings one, and oh man, I don't get Lofty at all.
Lofty is a special breed of consumer.
Lefty Lofty says Chaos Smash. Yeah,
not Does, uh, to besmirch
Drink
Lofty.
more.
I
That's what
can't. All my alcohol's already away. I already finished off my bottle.
I don't have any. See, I just been drinking water that's been enhanced with zero sugar Kool-Aid on the go because I'm on keto.
But Chaos. I don't know if Lofty loves everything bad. Like, not to be a Lofty simp or a defender, but I do understand his mentality of like, well, let's give everything a chance. But that's kind of to his own detriment because it kind of goes back to the meme of like, why are you shitting on my plate? And then they're just like, how do you know it's going to be shit? And it's like, it's just an educated guess, my guy. Because like I've sadly devolved more into the pessimistic mindset when it comes to the entertainment, towards like I'm going to consider it trash, and if it's not trash, I'm going to be pleasantly surprised and happy. And so,
I mean, my whole thing on it though was that they've done it enough to kind of, I think, showcase where they're going with it. So this idea,
yeah.
not to mention that stupid, what is it, Power of the Rings? Is that what
Rings of Power.
yeah, not only is the title like fucking retarded, but that weird scene of all these people making, my thing was like, why are all the actors making these sad, depressing like faces and poses? Like that doesn't grab my attention at all, sort of thing. They just look awful.
Yeah, no, and it goes back to the fact that this was an era. Like, I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. Like,
I
I've
have heard your
watched
rants, Flawed Man.
Flawed Man's Eric, right?
No, Stuart.
Stewart. Okay, my bad. I couldn't remember. But
Eric is Clobbermeister.
okay. But yeah, I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. I enjoyed the original trilogy that they made with not Percy Jackson,
Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson. Lord have mercy. And
Percy Jackson. Isn't that Percy Jackson and the something
yeah, that's
something?
the Olympians or whatever.
Yeah, there we go.
I just knew Jackson was the last name. But like those were good, and he's like, it kind of shows how in just 20 years the mentality of making these movies have completely shifted. It's going from them wanting to make these movies to respect the source material as much as possible to, well, we're going to take this era of Lord of the Rings that was never even really supposed to be known to the public, monetize it, and not only monetize it but completely transform it into something that it's not supposed to be. We're going to gender bend, we're going to race swap, we're going to do all this sort of stuff, and it's like that's not the point of this. And if you're not willing to respect the material,
it's my theory that it's the whole, it's the whole, they're so unoriginal that they have to cash grab on already well established franchises. For me, and I guess this is a good question. When did you start really seeing like this shift of like, what are you guys talking about? Like, why are you starting to do it this way? For me, it legitimately was like 2016's Ghostbusters Answer the Call movie, because one, right away, it's like you're banking on a franchise to make you money, and then you come out with the idea of like, well, you don't like the show not because it looks like the writing's bad or like just the look and aesthetics of the movie doesn't feel like it captures the originality of the first two, but it's because you're a sexist, because it's an all-female cast. And then you have to ask, why are you, first of all, why are you guys going that way, first of all, to bring up the sexist comment? And then second, it's like, justify to me why you needed to feel that there needed to be an all-female cast.
yeah,
because they're going to just say, well, we need equality, and it's like, there it is, there's where you don't care about it.
yeah. I honestly can't remember the first instance. I remember when I saw the Ghost, like I didn't grow up on Ghostbusters. I knew of it, I watched a little bit of it growing up, but that
Have you
definitely
seen
did.
the old shows? Sorry to interrupt. Have you seen the old shows?
Honestly, no.
I'd recommend it whenever, if you ever have a chance. Really good stuff.
I will add it to the ever growing list of things I
Yeah,
need to
for
watch.
sure. And I will appease the other people. Watch the first one. A lot of people say the second one's inferior to the first one, which it is. I grew up seeing the second one first, then the first one, so I don't think it's as bad. So, continue the story.
Yeah, but I do remember seeing the all-female cast, and that was kind of around the turning point for me to where it's like, I think at the time I was like, oh, cool, it could be a fun little retelling of Ghostbusters without the like realizing the implication of like, oh, they're trying to completely reboot and redo this for more nefarious reasons. I genuinely, I honestly think like, I think The Last Jedi, as hilariously ironic as it sounds, that was my first like big,
Eye opener.
yeah, just because the reason the entire movie just didn't make sense to me, and I was like, why did they do this? And that's kind of what started letting me down this path of just watching people explain and going to deeper depth than I have time to do myself, and just like realizing that wow, this was wholly fucked up in 12 different ways. Why did they end up doing it this way? Because it's not hard to make a Star Wars movie. Like to genuinely mess it up, you kind of have to go out of your way. Like there's a lot of simple things that have already been established, and if you just kind of follow the simple rules, you'll be okay. But then things in The Last Jedi just didn't follow any of them. It was just like, what's going on?
That's what I legitimately don't get. Like, and it's like I said earlier in the stream, like what's so hard about placing the Star Wars movie in the time where there's just a bunch of Jedi, a bunch of Sith, and then space battles? Like, why is that so hard?
Yeah, and it's just because
Is there
one,
any
I think just because the sheer amount of like CG work that would have to go into it, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's more understandable. But two, I think it's just because they're lazy. They don't want to. They don't want to give the fans kind of what they want.
that latter answer was the correct one, I believe.
I genuinely think it's because they're lazy and they just don't
Hmm.
want to. And so it's just like,
I think it's not only because they're lazy. I think they legitimately don't know how to write it because again, their motives isn't to extend their or not really extend, but to contribute a new idea to the already established universe. It's to we need to change the already established universe because there's some grave injustice, aka a social injustice that needs to be fixed. And thus, when it does get fixed, future generations will appreciate what we did by fixing said injustice and forget completely about the original franchise, which I mean, that's pretty much what I believe of what is like like strongly happening in Hollywood. I'm sure it's always happened before, but it's blossomed to the top nowadays too because I mean, they're not even hiding it anymore.
yeah, no, a flawed man of God makes a good point. Says Tolkien was a total shitlord by today's standards. The left has been trying to crack in and appropriate Lord of the Rings for so long, and it took Christopher Tolkien dying before the family sold out. And it's like, yeah, they had to pry it away from those who genuinely cared about it. And two, it's because Lord of the Rings is one of like the biggest modern like Christian inspired things. Like there's a lot of
Mm,
Christianity into it. Like Tolkien has a very
yep.
famous line saying, I wrote Lord of the Rings without a Christian lens, and then I reviewed it through the Christian lens, and he put a ton of iconography and ideology into it. And so, yeah, evil cannot create, just corrupt what's good. And that's what they're doing is like I think it's part of this push to go after
Diego just
what
said that. Did you just read that?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. I
And
was gonna be
so
like, wow, that was perfpectly timed to quote that, and then that popped up.
yeah, but yeah, as Diego says, it's evil cannot create, just corrupt, and what create just corrupt what's good. And I
Mhm.
think it's because it's this big portion and this big push of no Christianity allowed, no good heroes, no masculinity, none of this. And so that's one reason we're having this push with
Mhm.
things like Lord of the Rings is they're trying to take what were considered Christian safe havens and debauch them and turn them not so good anymore to demoralize these hobbies that a lot of Christians fall into and want to love and like have loved for a long time. And it's just this idea of it is there's a full frontal assault to kill entertainment, to kill hobbies, to kill escapism as a
Mhm.
catch-all term. It kind of just looping back to the beginning is that
Well, it's true.
yeah, because like politics can be very enamoring, and it's good to have these hobbies. Like I'll admit this every single day when I'm not working and when I'm not getting my vent of politics off on Twitter. I am playing games because I love to game, partially to my own detriment, but it is a good way for me to just escape the horrors of this world. And if all of my games are now filled with modern politics, I have escaped nothing.
Mm.
And so I want to stand with people like Nick, people like you, who want to sit here and say, just let them be. Let them be what they were made as. Don't change them. Let people have the agency to decide whether they want to be a part of this or not.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that they have to be seen as the people in the spotlight. I mean, specifically, going off of being Christian and stuff like that, that's also where, for me, there's this disgusting thing that's happening, of progressive Christianity, where the word is getting watered down. The idea of Jesus's teaching is now, well, it doesn't really matter what he said, as long as you understand that Jesus loves you and you feel good. That's all that matters. And it's like, no, that's not at all what the what the teaching was about. And they're trying to twist it that way. They're like coming at it from different things, like all these different sides. It's extreme. It's chaos. But you brought up gaming. What games have you been playing?
Um, I dove into like Mech Warrior 5 for a good little bit here recently. I've been trying to get more into that just because I've been following like Razor Fist and his talks on it. And it's fun. Big stompy robots. It reminds me of like Power
Okay.
Rangers growing up.
Okay. I was gonna say, explain to the folks what Mecha 5 is.
Yeah, Mech Warrior 5
Or
is
Mech Warrior
based
5.
yeah, Mech Warrior 5 is based on the like BattleTech IP, and it's this idea of galactic wars and house, like, think like Game of Thrones, but better in space with big stompy robots.
Ooh, nice. You want to know what game I wish they would have continued? Because I love the concept. Um, was Titanfall. You ever play
Yes.
Titanfall?
Titanfall 2 is great.
I was gonna say, dude, Titanfall 2 was perfect, and I'm so pissed off that they dropped that off just to continue.
Apex.
Yeah,
Like
which I played a little bit of Apex, but I
Apex
could
was
never get
fun for a
into.
little bit. It got
Yeah.
way too sweaty, and they kept diving more into that sweaty nature of it because all battle royales do. And just like, just give us. You can't leave us off on the cliffhanger you did in Titanfall 2 and not give us Titanfall 3.
Mhm.
Like,
Diego says Jesus loves the sinner, not the sin. But that's a concept. Yeah, that's correct. But like, that's a concept these people don't understand, because they've taken it to the extreme point, to where any sort of a question or perceived attack on whatever it is, they've taken it to where it's, well, you're just attacking me as a human being. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's not even close to like what we're trying to say too.
you're attacking my very existence. No, I'm just making a critique of this thing that I also
Yeah.
like. I'm not attacking you or your way of life. I'm just saying stop it, please.
Oh, funny enough, Ryan, when I was leaving Anime Matsuri, I yelled at one of those fake Christians that were standing on the side of the street on Saturday.
Oh boy.
Dude, he was a hoot and a holler. First of all, I could kind of I don't know, folks. I kind of could tell that he was a not really a Christian, when I got him to admit that nowhere scripturally in the Bible does Jesus say that to confess one's sins, and and to that in order to see the Father, you must when you see me, you've seen the Father, sort of thing.
Yeah. It's just it
So
goes to the
I
idea.
learned something new that day. I also learned that apparently only the Old Testament was all you need to know, even though he wasn't Jewish, by the way.
Who knows?
It was funny. I yelled at him. He got
Yeah.
really mad. He got really mad at me. Like, he was saying the same stuff like to all the other people and the cosplayers and stuff like that. But then I called him a wolf in sheep's clothing, and then he kept trying to say that same stuff. And then I'm just like, that's not at all what you're saying. That's not at all like what it says. You're twisting the words. And I'm bad at scripture. That's one thing I just need to get good at. Eric can throw off scripture like this, but I know enough. I know enough to know when the words are being twisted and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And dude, this guy, like, he got really really mad at me when his normal gloom and doom thing was not affecting me at all. Not to
Mhm.
mention, I'm like, you're not Jonah, dude. First of all, you're not even giving them a way to salvation. You're just yelling at them. It was funny. All weaves
Yeah.
should be shamed. LOL, says a flawed man of God. Well, this is also true.
It's very true, but at the same time, you can't just say someone's condemned to hell without them, like, at least
Well,
asking if they've accepted Jesus into their heart and this sort of stuff.
well, that's to me. That's the other thing too. Is like there's like the extremity of both sides sort of thing, because of what I called that one guy said, you're not Jonah, man. Like, first of all, you're not Jonah to where you can just say something and convert an entire city. Second of all, we're in the Western population does not take that sort of preaching or evangelism really well. That may work over like seas and stuff like that, but different areas of the world take stuff differently and stuff and things like that. And but like what I was saying earlier, you got those type of people who twist the word, and then you have the progressive people that are twisting the word.
Yeah, Chaos Mash says it best. It's like, as long as you have God and anime on your side, you're okay. True facts. True facts.
That one kid doing the
What?
yeah sort of thing. You don't want to be Jonah anyway.
That
I mean, Jonah, at least Jonah is relatable because I think there's a lot of people obviously in the Bible that are legitimately human. Like David was the worst of the worst, and a lot of people can relate to whatever extremity that happened in David's life. I also personally think Jonah is too, because it is that thing of like, God, why do these people deserve forgiveness? Destroy them. And there's more to it than that, because they were they were well, I'm drawing a blank at the moment, but politically, and at the time, those people were oppressors to the Jewish people. So of course, Jonah was kind of like a patriot in the sense of, no, these people need to be destroyed. They do not need to be forgiven, but it showcases that God's love extends to anybody,
yeah.
sort of thing. But I mean, Jonah just stood there and said, you're going to be destroyed in 40 days, and that's it. No way to avoid that sort of thing. The people were like, yeah, people actually were like, yeah, there's actually something to it. But people of Nineveh were degenerates, but changed their ways when Jonah spoke into their city. That was another crazy thing too, not going too down that rabbit hole. But yeah, like the word came to the king, and the king just did it like right then and there. That's how powerful it was. But in any case, yeah, I mean, you saw me play that Scourge game. Hot garbage. I would not recommend people playing it unless they want to punish themselves. Nobody's perfect, and that's okay. As a good follower, Jesus aspires to be a good person. The radical left wants to burn you if they find a single flaw. That is true, but please understand, Jesus' teaching was to be sin conscious, to understand your sin and to repent from said sin. And literally, repentance means to do a 180, to turn away from it, sort of thing. Um,
I think one big problem with it is
mhm,
everyone, especially with more modern Christianity, everyone's like, well, we are supposed to be like Jesus. It's like, no, that's setting an impossible standard. You
mhm.
will no one will ever be like Jesus. All you can do is go through life, hopefully recognize your faults,
Mm-hmm.
rectify them, repent for them, and keep moving forward.
Exactly, because God's blessing of forgiveness is, I forget the word of it, but it's constant. It's that constant forgiveness,
Yeah.
because we are literally imperfect and we will sin. That's the beauty of God's grace, is that it extends throughout time. That constant forgiveness that does it. And the series The Chosen, they had a really good line where Jesus says, like, I'm not look like my message isn't for passive people. And that is so true. Jesus doesn't want you to be passive. Like, there's an active step to take. sort of thing too.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Aspiring to be a good person involves to challenge yourself and recognize one's fault. Yep, it's it's both through faith and good works. Because that's, if anyone would like to know, when the Judeo-Christian mindset is, if you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you are saved from the second death. That doesn't mean that you can just continue to go on sinning, because Jesus said, like, you have to constantly repent. And then Paul and John both, it's a combination of both. It's through your faith, good works is where it's going to show. And actually in heaven, God will actually weigh what you did on earth to help spread his love. Because it says in the Bible, people have different statuses of rewards. That's another thing that the leftists probably won't like either, is that there actually is hierarchy in heaven, sort of thing too, with God being on top and stuff. But yeah, but also on the negative aspect of stuff, God also says you don't have to accept my offering to salvation. I will definitely weigh you on your good works if you still want to, and guess what? It's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
That's what he says. So
like I've never been the most churchgoer of Christians, but there was one of the first Bible verses I ever learned honestly set my foundation for my life. And I believe I always forget the number, but I believe it's 2 Corinthians 5:7. For we walk by faith, not by sight.
Yep.
And if you kind of mold yourself around that concept that not everything you see needs to be true, not everything you need to believe needs to be known, but you still do it for the faith alone.
Yep.
That could be your salvation in the end.
Because the stronger faith you have, the more good works you will go out to do.
Yes.
So, and again, like, understand, folks, like, that guy standing at the edge of the street of Anime Matsuri yelling at people saying you're a harlot, you're going to hell and stuff. That's not how you connect with people. Like, that's not at all how you connect with people. That's certainly not here over in the Western areas how you relay Jesus's message. But most certainly, watering down the word to make you just have a feel-good attitude all the time and not understand that you have to be sin conscious is also not the right way either.
Yep.
Jesus said the gates are narrow. So, yeah, that I'm just looking over at that Scourge Hive box, and it just pisses me off. I'm probably gonna sell it because I no longer want to have it in my collection.
Did you end up? I didn't tune in last night. Did you end up beating the final boss?
I did beat it. Unfortunately, I had to use the save state just to get at the last. So that fucker has 3 phases. First, he has this face phase, which I could get through really quick. Then once it's the clone copy of your character, I got it down to where I could get through that lickety split. Then there's this phase where you're in nothing. It's all taking place in your head. So not only is the isometric part of the game now 10 times more annoying because you're jumping what literally looks like nowhere. This thing is spinning around, shooting all these bubbles at you. You're jumping and avoiding that. Then after a while, it doesn't matter where you are, the thing will come to you, clone you, and then continue doing it. It clones you 3 times. Then it does its super move to, once again, no matter where you are on stage, it will magnetize you towards the center of it and then like suck out like 300 HP from you every time. But it doesn't do it enough to kill you. And I found an exploit to where, as long as you don't let the clone people hit you or shoot you, if you jump towards him, he'll do a super move constantly on you and he'll suck you towards you, and you can still fire at him. And I exploited that cheese to kill him. However, it was at that point where I did not want to literally fight all 3 stages at once because the game is not worthy of my time, unlike Ninja Gaiden, which I have beaten the first one all in a row. But yeah, it's a hot fucking dumpster fire, and it can rot in hell because they thought we can make a good Metroid type game.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to what I played, I played MechWarrior for a few weeks.
Very cool.
I recently just got back into Hades because I love roguelites.
Oh, dude, Hades is so good.
Yeah, I played it on my PC and it was on Game Pass. I'm like, you know what? I'll just download it. I'll get the gamer score, and it's such a good game. It's so
Oh,
fun.
it's really good. I
And
got it
this-
for Twitch. I got it for the Switch at the time because
Mhm.
I think, unfortunately, it's getting to the point where your best bet is to get it when it's like on sale and stuff. But I'm one that tries to get a physical copy because I don't trust the digital age.
Oh
I don't want
yeah,
to wake up one morning and have them all say, all the stuff that you borrowed, we lost it. Now you've got to buy them again.
luckily, most games that I have that sort of tie to where it's like I really love this game, I'll genuinely go out and buy a physical copy of it. But
Yeah.
if I'm more of like, maybe we'll see how it goes at 1st,
Mhm.
I'll just buy the digital copy because if I lose it, it's not going to be that big of a thing for me.
Nice.
And so, but yeah, I've gotten back into Hades. I've started like doing just because I've already played a good portion of it. I've started doing like some YouTube searches. That game gets way deeper than what I've gotten to so
The
far.
Hades story,
Yeah,
dude, it is amazing.
it
Like
is
Eric
huge.
beat the crap out of that game. He got way more farther into it I did, because he would be playing it a lot because his son would just be mesmerized by the beautiful colors and stuff like that. So he would just sit there looking at it. So it's like, okay, this is entertaining you. You're learning different colors and stuff like that. So let's play.
You're
He
kind of
played
learning the Greek pantheon.
Yeah, get to learn all that. Get to bang some people, I guess, from what I've heard.
I haven't even gotten to even in my old playthrough, I didn't even get to a point where you
Yeah,
can do
you can
that.
get into
So,
relationships.
oh well,
Hades deserved Game of the Year. Yeah, it does for sure. Unlike another game that shouldn't have gotten anything, but it was an SJW propaganda. We won't say the name, but it was a part 2 of a certain zombie apocalypse sort of scenario.
it did not do service from what I've heard. So
I played it, and no game should ever get you to the point where you go, I just want to beat this game. That got to me like maybe midway through when I realized that this game was just garbage. Granted, I was never a big Last of Us fan.
yeah,
So
I still kind of want to play the first game, but
play
also
the first one. The first one's good.
I'm also kind of deterred just because it's like, well, I know a lot of this just doesn't matter.
You will be
anymore.
just fine if you play the first one and don't even worry about the second one.
Fair.
To be honest, because the first one obviously has what the original thing was. Last of Us, I thought was great story. No, the story was good. See, here's the thing: is that Last of Us Part 2 would have, from what I've read or at least heard, it should have taken place with the one character that named Abby, and that would have just been her story. However, good old
Druckmann.
Cuckman and feminists infiltrated and demanded that Ellie and Joel get brought back. And for I look at it as The Last of Us was Joel and Ellie's story, and that's what it should have been, and that's where it should have ended. And then the second one, I think if it would have just focused on Abby, would have been much better than what it was. Let's just say that for me, the sub quest revenge story of Ghost of Tsushima was better than the entire revenge story of The Last of Us Part 2.
Fair.
Loving the Christian-based conversation. So it likes saying church is everywhere and every day. Now go Speed Racer.
Oh, yeah, because I got my Speed Racer box.
I've got my Trigun, Dragon Ball Z, Evangelion, which they did a terrible job. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but Asuka, right here, is completely cut off. That's where the picture ended, and they didn't bother to extend. It's bad.
Jeez.
It's bad. And then of course we got the Saints watching over me, the Boondock Saints.
The Boondocks.
And then awesome movie, by the way.
But
Puckman was on a leash the entire time.
I mean, from a certain
I
point
personally
of view,
don't think so. I think it was intentional.
He was probably holding his own leash because that's how much of a cuck he is.
Yeah. pretty good. The flashback scenes in The Last of Us Part 2 were the best part of that game. I'll just say that. And
Yeah,
those only
no,
lasted
because
for like 15 minutes.
if you had focused more on a one-sided revenge story to where your heroes from the previous game are now your enemies, infinitely better story than trying to tell both sides of the same story. It's just like, no, let us play. If you're wanting us to play as someone new, just let us play as someone new. Don't try and make us sympathize with both sides. And no, just if you're wanting to tell a revenge story, just tell a revenge story.
Something really weird happened on YouTube. There was like a weird. Do you guys still see us?
I don't know.
Did you see like a weird flicker, almost like we like faded out or something?
I did not. Let me.
Is it all fine on your end? Maybe
I can pull. I haven't pulled it up, but I can real quick. Hopefully. Yeah, everything seems fine.
Okay. I mean, we had a solid connection. That was weird. I can see you all. Oh, I can see you. You all disappeared, but came back. Okay. I thought I was a man. Dude, I hate YouTube Studios. I hate how it looks. I hate everything. No, just kidding. I don't want to be that sad. But everyone's like, yes, it's back. It's fine. Good. Okay, so
All
at least
right.
the signal got brought up. Last of Us 2 is about a beautiful love story of Abby. Especially the clapping was just.
Oh, don't talk about it. Stop. Let it be forgotten.
Oh
Cease.
my gosh. Well, it was funny because my roommate Zach, like, he goes into and like looks up like all the crazy stuff behind the scenes. What's funny is that like they purposely like down to like the music made it to where the certain type of music that was playing when you were Abby would make you feel more uplifted to like her and stuff. Like they did all these ways to try to make you like her, and it was
Like
just
a bunch of subliminal.
yeah.
Like,
But then it was also funny because someone pointed out that a lot of the people you killed are kind of Asian descent. And it's not like they're just random spawn people that appear. They're programmed in to be that way. Someone pointed that out, I was told, and I thought that was hilarious.
that's a little weird. What are you trying to say, Neil?
I don't know.
But
we don't speak for him. But then again, I thought we're supposed to. I don't know.
But yeah, so I've been playing back through Hades.
Nice.
Before that and before Mech Warrior, I was on the Elden Ring kick. Elden Ring was so good.
I beat that one. Boy, that game made me mad too.
It's a game that'll infuriate you, but
I am very much learning that I am not a a Dark Souls person. Even though I beat Elden Ring and I beat Sekiro. Sekiro.
I still need to play Sekiro.
I'm trying to, and I wanted to be a voice actor in this shit. What up? You mean social engineering? No way. Do you collect any trading cards or anything like that?
Who, me?
I just say that because I have my Dragon Ball Z cards here, and I've been slowly collecting them again.
I think it's still somewhere back in my old home, but I'm sure I used to have like a Super Saiyan Trunks Dragon Ball Z card.
Ooh, nice.
Somewheres, but I have no clue. I might know where it is, but it's been kind of lost to time. But no, I've never been big on the trading card games. Not for me, and part of my gamer sin. I'm not a big Pokemon fan. I genuinely don't like the turn-based type of combat.
Oh yeah, I struggled with JRPGs for quite a while, but I am starting to get into them.
That is true. My buddy John, he reminded me that I did get the Broly card from the Broly premiere movie.
Ooh, nice.
So, like, me and him, we went and saw the Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super Broly movie.
Oh, funny. Not funny, but interesting enough. My roommate and I, we're going to go see the new one.
Same.
Nice.
Like me and my buddy here, we're gonna be go seeing it on the 19th. So not
I think the 18th.
Day, but
I think the 18th because that's when we're going.
Yeah, we're not catching the premiere just because our schedules can't.
Oh, I get you.
But
oh man, maybe we got the premiere. I know we're going to like what is it, Studio Grill movie theater.
What was that? I'm sorry, I was reading chat for a second.
Oh no, that's fine. We're going to what is it? One of those Studio Grill.
Oh yeah, movies. Like the movie bars or whatever.
Yeah, the movie bars. That's where we're going.
Very cool. Very cool. I
I
went to
guess
one of
because we're
those a
going
few years
Thursday.
back.
I wonder if that's the premiere, but we're going late at night.
Yeah, I
Plus,
think
the one on our end said there's like no kids allowed or something like that.
that's probably just because it's a bar,
Oh yeah, I guess that's
if
true.
I had to guess. But
Last of Us is PS3, but the definitive edition's on PS4. Just get the remastered and don't bother doing anything else because they're trying to now upgrade the Last of Us and they're making everyone look old and shitty. I want to
yeah,
see it in a
and
special
then
way.
they're like what they're. You may have just said this. They're remaking the original game to try and make it more in line with The Last of Us 2 or whatever, right? Like they're
Oh, yeah,
remastering
so
it.
you had your PS3, then you had the remastered, and now they're doing something else to where they're literally for the PS5, like literally making them look uglier and older.
It's
I don't get this. I do not understand this concept of beauty. Beauty
I
is in the eye of the fatness, apparently, or
I guess
set.
this is a good way to kind of segue. So my other part-time job is I do some video game design,
Oh,
and
cool.
I have with each passing year I have grown to hate the concept of photorealistic games. I hate them because
Like the mo capturing and all that stuff.
yeah, like sure, The Last of Us 2, God of War, they can look great, but I'm getting to a point where I loathe them because they're causing such a fracturing in video gaming because everyone's
Mm.
like, "Well, we have to have the 120 frames per second ray traced 4K." And it's like, "No, just make a game that's fun."
Well, my
Like
roommate and I have talked about it, and I agree wholeheartedly. If the story is garbage, it doesn't matter how nice the game looks.
pretty much.
Garbage
I
shit, it's shit. And I do agree with you because a lot of now, well, yeah, a lot of them are starting to use the facial capture, and they're just banking on big time actors to appear
yeah.
in it. So it's
Like one of my all-time favorite games is like the Jack and Daxter trilogy.
I need to play those. I do
They're pretty
have, I think,
fun.
the first one.
But they're they're
Somewhere.
they're in that early 2000s. They're very cartoony, very goofy. They have like the stretch and pull animation style to where it's not humanly realistic, but it's fun. And so it's like
Mhm.
I as a game designer, I want to prioritize fun first, but with story being immediately after it. I can look over a semi bad story because the game is genuinely fun. But if
Mhm.
your game has genuinely fun mechanics but next to no story, I'm not going to play your game. Like one good example of this, kind of tying in all three of them with the photorealism, story, and gameplay.
Mhm.
A couple years back, I played Anthem because it was on Xbox Game Pass, and
I haven't played that one.
it was kind of like the Iron Man simulator where you're in like the giant like
Oh,
the
that's
mech
cool.
suits where you get to fly around and stuff.
Oh,
Genuinely fun. It's a looter shooter. The gameplay is fun. A little rinse and repeaty, but
I like
as a
repetition at times.
concept, it was good. But its story was so garbage, and I think part of the reason its story was so garbage is because they were too focused on trying to make it photorealistic. It's like if you had that same concept in a more simple art style, it probably would have done amazingly.
We
And
got let's
so
see.
I'm
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
I'm just getting tired of the sacrificing of story and gameplay to just make it as realistic as possible. It's just like you don't have to make a realistic game. One of my all-time favorite games that I'm tempted to play after Hades is Hollow Knight, and that game
Ooh,
was
Hollow Knight was good.
it completely 2D animated. Everything in that game is 2D. Took them years to design all these assets, but they made it genuinely beautiful and genuinely fun. The story is also good, but it's like we're looking at a great game, and it's great because they're not wasting time on trying to make it 60 frames, 4K ray traced, and all this
Yeah, even
bullshit. In my opinion,
no, I agree. It's getting to that point to now where it's just we're trying to make a game that utilizes the technology to its max compatibility. Well, what are we going to sacrifice with all this time? Story. That's fine. We got
story
to run
and
a
storage, like, oh
yeah,
yeah, cool, Call of Duty Modern Warfare is great. But I don't like that 300 gigabytes of my hard drive are being dedicated to this
yeah.
piece of garbage because you can't
Let's see.
make it simpler.
Jump Force is a testament to your words. This was a while back. I tried playing Jump Force. Or wait, no. No, I played J Stars and that game was garbage.
Yeah,
I
but no,
could not.
Jump Force is I know what he's talking about. Jump Force was kind of like their catch-all anime fighting game where they brought in like 20 different IPs from like One Piece, DBZ, Hunter x Hunter,
Yeah, I
and
knew that one. I
everything.
heard that one wasn't good.
Yeah, and it's like it was a good concept, but because they tried to go for a certain graphical style and a certain art style to make it more realistic and all this sort of stuff, it kind
I
of bogged it down.
I didn't like how it looked at all. Not
Neither did I.
same with what is it? J plus All Stars. I didn't like that look
Uh,
either. They're all on
Possibly.
PS Premium. In my opinion, graphics. See, Diego says, in my opinion, graphics are just an element of the game. A game looking pretty is not a big motivation for me to buy it. It needs to be fun. True, and again, my roommate Zach says, like when he, one, I'm not a person that looks into any game trailers. Like I've never been that person to go out of my way to watch like game news announcements and trailers and stuff like that. But if I do watch a trailer, the trailer needs to have some sort of the gameplay. But now a lot of the trailers are just showing already pre-rendered or in-game cutscenes that don't show anything
Yep.
to showcase on how good it is. And it's like this does nothing. I mean, what's the whole concept of the trailer is to like lure you in to go, do I want to see this movie? Do I want to see this game? And now it's just, ugh.
Yeah,
There's
it's wild to go back and look at early 2000s style video game trailers to where it was like
there's
the
a
trailer was about 80% gameplay trying to like,
there's a
oh, this looks fun.
yes, there's a reason. There's a reason why indie games are just exploding. There's a reason why people still love the old retro games. Graphics meant nothing at the time until you
Exactly.
get to like PS1 and stuff like that. Then it's kind of tricky, but there's still a lot of good PS1 games out there. Let's see. Chaos Smash says Yakuza does well with graphics because everyone looks beautiful, especially the women. Well, again, yeah, it's one thing. Wait, what? Oh, never mind. It's one thing to where people take the time to create individual characters and original characters that maybe have some features of someone but aren't really based on anybody. Then there's a huge difference between just face capturing. I mean, I still need to beat it, and I actually did enjoy it. But the only game I can think of at the moment is like Death Stranding with Norman Reedus and
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro. Del Toro. Um, and again, I'm not bashing that game because I actually kind of liked it. I still need to beat that one, but a huge difference between that. I can't think of another one that just utilizes that. What are your let's see. We got what are your thoughts on the success of Among Us or Fall Guys? I'm not interested in those games.
I played both of them for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I They're a good example that a great concept is the
Mm-hmm.
best thing you can do for a video game. To where it's like, oh, let's play space the thing. Let's make the thing, put it on a spaceship, and have it to where you can argue and vote people off. Great concept. People loved it. It has exploded. People still play it to this day. It's been added to things like Xbox, and the same thing with Fall Guys. It's a great concept that they didn't wholly care about graphics. They went more for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that helps them out is they don't have to worry about a story.
Yeah,
So,
very,
and if they're
very
not
good.
worried about graphics, so they get to devote all of their time to gameplay. And that's why I think they've been good successes and it's really helped those developers out. I do think that they've kind of moved past the prime and it might be time for them to maybe make a sequel or a follow-up. I know it's hard to say make a sequel to Fall Guys, but I think they're doing a good job. I think they moved to a free-to-play model and all that, so good on you. If that's what you want to do, cool.
Yeah,
Maybe
I never caught on that bandwagon. Mostly because I'm very limited to what I play when I like multiplayer. If I multiplayer, it's usually with just my friends, and it's usually like Halo or first person shooters or something like that. I never really got into the like, I guess you could say like the party games sort of thing. Only if it's like you're just again with some friends and you're just together doing that sort of stuff.
yeah,
John says Jump Force will have a special place in my heart, but it is garbage.
true.
J Stars was awesome, way better than Jump Force's gameplay. Whoops. Well, I mean, I just read it. I don't know why I had to show it. Why? I didn't know you played Fall Guys, Stuart. LOL. I also enjoy Fall Guys. It's fun. big game makers like Sony can learn from games like Among Us and Fall Guys just to make fun games mechanics and not focus much on graphics. That's the thing. That's
Yeah.
why, again, that's why indie games are exploding, because they're they understand that some people want a good story, and how can we balance a good story with limited graphics but still make it look beautiful? Or how do we just have a game that's just a bunch of mini games that looks really nice and clean and crisp that people can just get around and enjoy? That's why a lot of these indie games are just exploding. Like Hades is a simple concept.
Yeah.
You have the same bosses, you go through dungeons that constantly rotate over and over and over again, and every time you play it, you learn something a little bit new. Excellent,
Hades,
excellent replay value. And for me, I have a tough time with replay value.
yeah, and
I do have
it's
my games that I enjoy going back and playing, but like Hades is definitely like super successful on the replay value.
and Hades is to be even more commended because it's hard to put a story into a roguelike, to a game where you're literally repeating the same thing every day, or like
Yeah.
everything is the same thing just with a different like path, and they do it flawlessly because it's built in and they did it so great. And they did that partially because they weren't too worried about graphics, and they did it to where the environment in and of itself is 2D. All the character models are basic, simple 3D models. They keep you at a fixed rotation, so you're at the perfect distance to where you're not completely critiquing it. It's like, oh, this is the placeholder. It looks good. And so they have, sorry, but they have the perfect balance of
Are you
story.
laughing at the comment?
Yeah,
That's
but
laughing.
but but they have the perfect balance of, they have the graphics they need to tell the story, and then they dive more into the story to make it as compelling, as well as the gameplay to keep you stuck in that Groundhog Day loop of just like, I want to do it again, please. I'm compelled to move the story forward, and I'm
Mhm.
compelled because the gameplay is fun.
Yeah, and not only that, it's like even the gameplay becomes different every time because you get the different powers. I can't think. I know there's a specific term. It's slipping my
Like the
mind.
the weapons.
Well, not just the weapons, but like the boosts,
Oh, the boons. Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
boons. There. Thank you. I'm like, I think it starts with a B, but I can't remember it. I was close. Boosts,
Yeah.
boons. Yeah, and so it literally makes like it. It actually does make your each gameplay like unique every time because you have a different setup all the time. Let's see. I like anime games more than Western games, but the censorship limits me to a point. Yeah, censorship sucks. Sony. I still want to get a PS5, but I know how much Sony censor stuff. Mostly because I have most of my games, or I went with Sony. I grew up with the PlayStation 2. That was the one thing that Sony should have held on to and never let go, was the backwards compatibility. I think they would have been dominant
It's one
today.
thing that I think has been giving Microsoft its edge, is the fact that they've not only been adding to their library of like Xbox 360, they've even started diving into original Xbox games.
Oh my gosh.
Like, they're
I
going
did.
back 3 generations now.
Fools.
And
All
then Sony's
fools.
just like, well, we're gonna remaster it for this generation. It's like, no, just,
Well,
I already have it. Let me play it again.
but I think that's part of the thing too, because they really want to push that subscription to where it's like, well, you don't want to own it. Just buy just keep giving us money yearly or monthly, and you'll have all of these stuff available to you. You just got to download it and stream it. It's like, no, I want to physically own it because, you know, I want my money. Some people take time to go, I will. Do I want to put money into this? Yes, I do. Here you go. Not to mention, if you want to get rid of the game, you can just resell it later and
Yeah.
stuff like that. That's what I liked about it. But yeah, Sony should have kept on to the backwards compatibility. They were such fools, and I do not buy for a second that it was expensive to make the PS3. But I did read somewhere. I don't know if it was ever confirmed, but supposedly there was a patent that Sony acquired to where it was for the laser, and it was a patent to make it to where the laser, depending on what disc you inserted, would change the lens focus that would allow you to read said disc that was inserted. So
Yeah.
theoretically, that could have opened up to Blu-ray, DVDs, the CD games.
But
I don't
there's
know if that was ever confirmed, but dear Lord, Sony, if you guys, that's one thing. The other thing would be just to get over the censorship, which I never understood, sort of thing, because you guys are over in Japan. Like, you guys shouldn't censor everything. It's like
it's Sony of America that's doing the censorship.
true, yeah,
not
true.
Sony in and of themselves.
It's so funny. Western, you can show as much gore and violence to an extent as you want. Sexuality is the one other thing, but then over at the other place, sexuality is fine, but then blood and gore is another thing too. It's so weird.
Yep.
Let's see. John says, I'm a cheap bastard. You give me nostalgia, I'll give you a year subscription. What can I do? What can I say?
Fair enough.
I like Nintendo games, not because I'm a fanboy, but because they don't care about graphics and their gameplay is good. Yeah, it depends on what games you grabbed. Nintendo has why would you play Jim Ryan? Why would you play these old games? Why wouldn't I, man? They're so good. Sony is not Japan anymore. They proved that when they shut down Japan studios. I'm super out of the loop of like knowing what's happening in the.
I knew there was Sony, and then I heard Sony of America. I didn't know if they were synonymous now or if they were still separate entities.
Oh,
but,
kind of a weird way to segue way back. But did you see the OVAs at Anime Matsuri?
I did.
Were they good?
They were very good. They were definitely they were more childish. They were more not childish in a bad way. They were meant more for kids, in my opinion.
Yeah, they had that Miyazaki look, but then
it was funny because I don't know if you stayed for it, but afterwards, Vic had explained that a lot of the art directors that were on those shows were tutelage under Miyazaki. Like they were trained under him, so it was like the reason they're Miyazaki inspired is because they were Miyazaki.
They got
trained guys.
That touched. That's crazy that just being tutored under him that you carry on that certain art style. Because I know Hideki Anno, the guy who does Evangelion, I know he helped Miyazaki a little bit too, sort of thing. But you still, it's just weird. It's interesting when you on how much you learn about Japanese directors and stuff like that, and if you tend to follow that stuff. It's always interesting when you learn that they were a part of a show, and then you go and do kind of research, and then you can actually find the scene of the one they were in charge in, and you're like, oh yeah, I can see their style in here completely. It's always fun seeing that sort of stuff.
But yeah, so they were very, very fun, very cutesy type ones, and it was a good showcase of just what they could do, and it's going to be very fun to see what AM Studios does, because that's something that we're definitely now starting to need more of in America is this competition, especially with like. I'm not one of the people that will immediately rush to the it's a monopoly because it takes a lot to become a monopoly. But Sony, it needs to be said that Sony has been gobbling up dubbing studios left and right. Like just the other day, they announced that they were buying another studio or something.
Oh, Red something?
Something. I think.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But like that would make like the third or fourth dubbing studio that they have bought within the past 2 years, and so, having this competition is good. All I can say is I hope you have the money, because that's the big thing when it comes to getting these titles is you need the money, and you're going up against one of the biggest international corporations on the planet now.
Yeah, it's obviously money talks sort of thing, but I like to think, and I know Nick said it at one point on one of his streams, I think I'd like to think that behind the scenes with the business side of things, I would not be surprised that a lot of people are starting to like kind of get pissed off with Crunchyroll or stuff like that, especially when they're allowing their voice actors to pretty much, insult possible future fans and consumers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's one thing to have your opinion, but these people constantly berate and insult people to be like, well, you're not my fan and you're not a real fan. We don't want you in here, which is hilarious because their ideology was never a part of anime in the beginning.
Yep. That's That could be our only saving grace, is that Sony may sniff the bag more than they care about the voice actors. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to see a ton of people out of work, but at the same time, I don't want to see a ton of people who don't like the craft being in the craft anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
I mean, the thing, unless you're a union, the reality is, I mean, non-union voice actors, you're expendable.
yep.
You can be replaced.
And so
You're D-list actors thinking that you're A-list.
which I'm behind the sentiment, but we also have to realize, yes, they are expendable. Not a lot of them have been replaced, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's that foothold.
In my opinion, too few of them have been. That's probably one of the saddest things that came out of the Vic situation, is the fact that, yeah, Vic got fired over pure accusations, some of which have not held any strength under wet toilet paper. But the people who caused the humfrump in the first place, why are they still there? Like,
Yep.
we're talking about people who made this a borderline international issue over just accusations. And you're still going to take a chance with these people after you saw how hard they railroaded this one guy who, still to this day, they haven't provided a genuine article piece of evidence against him.
And not only that, there's other stuff coming up. I don't know. Well, I heard that the G word is now insulting, but for lack of better terms, there was there's other voice actors who admits to diddling kids. Admits to diddling kids, still works there. But of course he's part of a protected class, so of course he gets a free pass.
Like, yeah,
It's insane.
I don't like the accusations against him, but I'm not going to try and be a hypocrite until there's, like, I will say there's definitely been more evidence provided against him than ever was for Vic.
Yeah.
But we still have to give a little bit of deference to it and say, well, we still need a little bit more concrete, because
well, I am of the
DMs
mindset
can
that
easily be fake.
yeah,
I'll say that.
I mean, I'm of the mindset. I mean, to me it doesn't get any more concrete than straight up Facebook comments saying that you did it, sort of thing. But
which is true
to an extent. So I mean, and the fact that you're trying to word it to where you admitted it, but it's okay because it was consensual, even though it wasn't, because the guy was not of the age, regardless of how much.
It's okay. You're 21 and he's 17. It's okay.
Weirdo. Let's see. I watched God of War 4 on YouTube. It was beautiful, LOL, but the sad part, I don't really want to play it. God of War 4 is awesome. I like God of War 4.
Yeah, it's one of the games that I want to play. Like, I want to play the entire God of War trilogy, but God of War 4... I would recommend
that.
God of War 4 definitely is one of those games that has me worried, just because I think it's something more with PlayStation. PlayStation, in my opinion, seems to be more in the market of trying to make interactive movies than games. I don't know how accurate that statement is. It's just a vibe I get off from seeing it.
I never felt with, if my word means anything, God of War 4 never felt like a movie.
Okay.
There are obviously cutscenes that you'll have the gameplay, and then towards the end of the gameplay, you trigger something that can lead into kind of like a little movie cutscene sort of thing. But I never felt like it was a movie. But yeah, I would definitely recommend the God of War series, and really just play 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's like the PSP ones and stuff like that, but which I kind of still need to play. But 1, 2, 3, and 4 are fine. There's ascensions, but you don't really need to worry about it. But it's up to you and how deep you want to go.
But Ghosts of Olympus, or whatever it was, Chains of Olympus, I don't know.
No, yeah, there's
that
two.
was the PSP one.
Yeah, there's 2. They're actually not that bad.
Yeah.
I like Nintendo games not because I already read that one. Dude, everyone gets one. Let's see. That makes me think of Assassin's Creed Liberation. Even though I own the digital copy of the DLC, the game will become unplayable due to Ubisoft. What did I tell you?
Yeah, it's that one's even weirder because back in like the 2010s, Ubisoft was big on their Uplay system, and a lot of the DLC and stuff was checked through that. And now that I believe they said they're announcing they're shutting it down. So you cannot have your game ping the server to say that you own the game anymore. So
Ridiculous.
effectively, you can't play the DLC anymore.
Literally why I said I like to try to have as much physical copies as possible because of that bullshit right there. It's the same thing, which I still need to play with Alan Wake. Alan Wake was out forever. Then it was super cheap on Steam because they said the license for the music was the music was coming up. Snagged it. They got rid of everything off of the store, and now it's coming back, I think, again with different music, which possibly could just change the whole atmosphere of the game.
Yep. But that's a good. I'm not one to advocate for piracy. Like, legally, it's bad. I get it. Copyrights, ownership, yes.
But when it's just a big gray area in my book.
No, it's a gray area in my book too, because when stuff like this happens, this is when you need immolation. This is when you need the piracy, because these are the only places that you can genuinely get this stuff from and maintain these experiences. Because without them, these things would literally be gone forever. Unless you can find a physical copy.
That was my whole thing when Emu Paradise got shut down. I mean, there were games on there that no one's ever heard, like rare games that like you probably could not find copies anymore. And Nintendo came in and said, you got to shut this all down and stuff like that. And it's like, and again, that's where that gray area is, to where, yeah, it's your property, but how much money are you making off of these old games that I guarantee you, some of them you're never going to renew the license on or whatever.
Yep.
Sort of thing. And there's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection. They had to change some stuff, like the music. And I know in the old games, Pizza Hut was part of that. I don't know if that's there anymore. Maybe they changed it, even though in the movies it was Domino's. But never mind. Good movies, by the way. The original TMNT live action movies.
Yeah, I watched. I think it was the second one where there was like the Ooze and Super Shredder.
Yeah.
That one's great. I love it.
First one I still like just because it was that darkness to it. Obviously, the second one was more for like based on the cartoon and stuff like that. The third one, we did watch it all the time. We were kids. We didn't know better until we analyzed it and we were like, wow, this doesn't hold up to any of the other ones originally.
Yep.
But yeah, that if you're going to convince me to truly be against piracy, then your ports need to be one for one. How many times have Nintendo released ports of like Super Mario Brothers 3? I guarantee you there's so many ports and they're all different between each one. And for some reason, they can't capture the original one from the cartridge, but yet emulation can get it just like that.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense to me. And then that's another thing with the purists that I just laugh at. I'm like, what do you think all the digital stuff's going to? Those are that's literal emulation.
Yep.
It just has that official stamp of whatever it's like. And plus, you know, like fan translators, ROM hacking and stuff like that. I love that community because they make games that didn't hold up as well, flow more better, uncensor stuff, translate stuff,
fix bugs that were just
fix bug exactly. And then people who straight up just make an emulator free source and you can go and grab it. Like,
yeah, no, like that
it baffles me.
It's all great, and it's like I partially wish that we could do that more on consoles too.
Yeah,
like I grew up more of a console guy just because I've never had the money for a PC. I do have a laptop that I devote more to gaming and stuff, and I'm looking to get an actual PC rig soon. But
dude, all my garbage is shit. I need to upgrade my PC. I need to upgrade my camera. I need to get light sets. I'm not like the grifter.
Not yet. You're working on it, though.
We're working on it. We're working on it. Flawed Man of God says, don't say anything bad about Turtles in Time. Well, Turtles in Time was amazing. I love the arcade version. I actually grew up with the Hyperstone Heist. I actually still have my copy complete, which was pretty much the Sega's version of Turtles in Time. But I love me my turtles.
But yeah, so like when it comes to game, I'm all for game preservation.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. It's great. Um, I'm also of the mind that that's a bad thing in gaming nowadays is the constant patch notes every week, every 2 weeks that like can fundamentally change a game like that. It's like where are the good old days? Like that's why I go back to like why I say I love Jack and Daxter.
Mm-hmm.
I played it recently on the PlayStation 4. Yeah, it had its like upgraded frame rate and graphics and all this, but it still played the same way. And I don't have to worry about updates all the time. I don't have to worry about this or that or this and that. It's the game. You buy it, it's there.
Yeah.
But now it's like you get these games where it's like, oh, well, the game as a service, and it's like that style of model. I think is doing more harm. One, yes, I know you're chasing the bag, and it's a great way to make money. But there have also been examples of recent history to where it's just like if you're going to say a game is as a service model, you better be ready for it. Halo Infinite, love Halo to death. Halo Infinite, they're like, oh, it's going to be a game to service model. Because they weren't prepared for it, I'm borderline tempted to say that Halo Infinite's dead already, and it hasn't even been a year.
Stuart would have some good comments on Halo Infinite.
I'm sure.
We games. Oh, that's so funny.
Like, you shouldn't have to wait 8 months for co-op. Like, we still don't, not even 8 months. We're 10 months in, and they're just now beta testing the co-op, looking to release it, I think, within the next month. And so it's just like, that's something that should have been in the game from the start.
I have opinions.
Yes.
Eric and I went through the whole Halo series before he had to skedaddle.
Oh, no.
It was fun. It was a good time. Well, Ryan, we are 2 hours and 30 minutes in, so I don't want to keep you any more from tonight. And supposedly some big nose lawyer is supposed to get on Locals. I don't know when. I wouldn't tell you.
It's not Locals. It's on everything.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. He actually made a tweet. You brought that up. And then I remembered the tweet to say that it'll be on all platforms. So I guess you could go. I would raid him, but YouTube's raid system is weird if he was live.
It half works, half doesn't. Because I know Joe.
Well, it's like you have to accept someone's invitation to raid you, from what I saw.
I've heard it's both ways. Like I've heard some people say that it needs to be accepted, and I've seen people that just raid it and it happens.
I'll have to look into it because there were a couple of times where I tried to raid Nick's stream with my big following of 2 or something like that. But hey, Flawed Man, I got a lot of problems with 343 Industries, and now you're going to hear about them all in caps. Well, that might have to be for another show.
Maybe I can come back on and we can just destroy the problems, everything that's been wrong.
Well, I'm not a big Halo person, so you would have to leave the charge on that one. But yeah,
definitely would be willing to.
Oh yeah, for sure. Nick's stream is moved to tomorrow, like always, says
Nico.
Nico. What?
Did he?
Did he really?
I'm looking
too now.
Yep, we will be doing a stream tomorrow sometime. It's our last full day, so we want to have.
No, I just got the notification.
Well,
dude, what a fag! What the hell? Unbelievable. False. That's why I always check with my guest before I go, hey, you're still available? Because I like to at least don't want to hype people up and be like, oops, he's not going to be on tonight. No.
But no.
No,
Nick let him have his vacation.
I was going to say, yeah, Nick's done such a fabulous job. He deserves his vacation for sure. He's grown really well, and I'm so glad for him. And I wish I could have had did you guys end up getting drinks at the end? Like way later when I that Saturday.
Do you want to hear the bad news? I
heard. Was there some con trouble?
No. The bad news involves like, yes, we ended up getting drinks, or no, Saturday we didn't. That got moved to Sunday. But the bad news is I cursed you beyond imagination because when you said, "All right, I'm heading out," and you left, no lie, said goodbye, watched you kind of walk down the hallway, turned back, was talking with the guys. It was like maybe 30 seconds to a minute. I looked back. Vic was standing there. You missed him
Oh,
by literal seconds. Enough to where I was half tempted, despite my pain, to try and get up and catch you. But you were already out of the hotel. And I was so mad.
well, you would have found me yelling at some fire and brimstone guy at the corner. I was still there, but that was to the point where I didn't want to risk the towing of that stuff. So I
Yeah, no,
probably
it's
nah.
better not to risk
Yeah.
Houston parking at the middle of like a giant
Yeah, that was my first
convention.
time in Houston, so I was like, yeah, we're not risking this one. I
No.
want to dip. Nick thinks he's Aizen. No, Nick thinks he's a person of color. Dude,
What are you talking about? Nick is a person of color. You shut your mouth, Nico. If you were a real fan, you would know that Nick
I
is
know.
canonically black, okay?
and I have been reaching out to other people, and Nick is definitely someone that I would love to have on the stream. So I'll try to get his black ass on here as much as I can.
Oh yeah, just when you send him the message, let me know and I'll try and poke him about it cuz I did pass on your word that you wanted him on your show and he said, "Yeah,
Yeah,
just send me the invite."
I know. I sent him. I know we like chatted something really quick during the con, but it was more of like, yeah, like we'll talk. Like definitely, we'll just we'll talk later. And it's like, well, of course, you're at a con. It's going to be super busy, so
Yeah.
completely understandable.
So,
Um,
but yeah, when you ask him, let me know and I'll try and poke him. So,
yeah, it'll probably be at the once I get back from my little vacation sort of
yeah.
thing. So we'll definitely start that. But yeah, more guests we're going to be try to be booking, so we'll be making more contacts, and of course, obviously, previous guests are more than welcome to come back. Are you a big Evangelion fan?
No, but watching you and Joe kind of like just talk about it the other day, I am like I've been wanting to watch
Borderline.
anime. I'm borderline just about to sit down and just start watching all of Ava in my free time.
Yeah. Do your best to find the original. Don't watch the Netflix one.
Yeah, that's kind of my problem is I just don't know where to find it. I'm definitely not a Netflix guy. I don't have an account, but if you want
I
I
might have something.
out of the public eye or if you have any recommendations in my DMs, I will
I
gladly take
will.
them.
I will not only have recommendations of the DM. I can provide for you. Actually, I do have copies that I can just probably put into a Google Drive file.
Shh, don't tell them the secrets.
What? Don't tell them the secrets.
Yeah.
Well, it's legal copy because I actually own all the series of the original, so they are ripped.
Gotcha.
So they are. Greg is flexing. I'm not flexing. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. No, but yeah, I will guide you in the right direction of where to find the good versions of things. Technically,
do.
there was a collector's version of it where they insultingly they had both the Netflix dubbed version and then the old dub version, and they labeled it as the Netflix one's the official one, and then the original one as original or old or something like. I'm like, you fuckers, bunch of assholes.
Terrible.
I heard the
Terrible.
movies are better than the old series. That's going. Oh my gosh, Nico, you're just trying to end the stream here, and you keep opening up a rabbit hole. But I'll actually send you a DM of how to watch the show that will help you explain a lot. But pretty much, you would want to watch the TV shows up to a certain point, the end of the Evangelion movie, and then the end of the TV series. Don't even bother with the rebuilds.
Okay.
I'll
We'll just have
send
to
it to
see.
you. I'll send it. I'll send it to you because I know that just went over your head. So don't worry. But before we sign off for the night, Ryan, thank you. I'd give you a toast, but I don't have anything to drink. But thank you very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. It was great hanging out with you again on Anime Matsuri. Is there anything you want to promote or let the folks know or anything like that?
No, pretty much. I have my Twitter if you want to follow me. I would recommend not putting notifications on because, like I said, it's my outlet, and I don't want to bother you with that.
I giggle every time I see it. I giggle with a lot of stuff that I see.
But yeah, you can follow me there. I will say that I am a part-time video game designer, and we are looking to try and have our game release
Oh, nice.
sometime potentially early next year.
Ooh, cool.
And I will probably be doing some promotion on my end, on my personal. So if you ever see that, just any help and support from that would be appreciated. We're
Dude,
keeping
that's
it
awesome.
very, very lock and key. We're trying to do like the Eric July, where we're getting everything built first, and then we'll release it. So
Nice.
we will have to see when that happens. But yeah, that's all I would ask is if you follow me, just kind of keep an eye out for that, and then spread it around when it happens.
Absolutely. Nico says, "I have a great rest of the evening, gents, because I'm sure there are no ladies in chat." Very, very rude. We are not a sausage fest. We are a harem. I know we just got to get some harems, and then we'll be good.
Fair enough.
But yeah, but yeah, Ryan, thank you so much for stopping by. It was great catching up with you again. I'm glad you had such a good time at Anime Matsuri, and of course, it was just great meeting you. And I was glad that we were able to extend the friendship further and just get along and have great conversations. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. All I ask is just to like, subscribe, hit the smash button, smash the like button, the subscribe button, turn on bells. I can't. I'm really fading out. Turn on notification, which is in the shape like a bell, to get notified when I come online. Unless, of course, YouTube has shadow banned me, which I'm kind of thinking that might be the case because I have people tell me I never get notified when you come online. So
it's that way.
It's that way.
Maybe maybe I could come back on and we can just rant about how YouTube system is garbage.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, obviously past guests are more than welcome to come back on. Actually, Joe and I know we want to talk more Ava, so I think it'd be great to have an Ava analysis sort of thing start coming up, and you would be more than welcome to come on, especially if it's like a new show that you just saw for the first time, because I think that'd be great to get like a first time experience along with like the analysis of like people who have seen it a couple times. So Chaz Chaos Smash 64 says you're not even drunk. I know. I gotta pack for my
it's
my
just
trip.
late. It's that time of the day.
Yeah, I'm a light packer, so it does not take that long at all. And not to mention it's like it doesn't take me that long to even get back home. Good stream, Greg says a flawed man of God. Thank you guys very much. Again, Ryan, it was great talking with you. Thank you so much for stopping by, everybody. And we will catch you guys on the flip side. You guys have a good rest of your night. Take care. Adios.